Can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free.
That looks like a happy Pierzynski at Diamondbacks camp. Are they all as happy as you are there?
They are. This is a positive place. We had Torey Lavello, their manager, on not long ago, and we know how positive he can be. And talking to the guys around here, there are not a lot of frowns on their faces. A lot of smiles, a lot of happy guys, a lot of happy campers, as we would say in spring training. And listen, I just got to talk to Orlando Hudson. I don't know if Kratz ever played with Orlando Hudson, but that dude might have more energy than anybody I've ever seen. O-Dog. And O-Dog is in better shape than 92% of the players. I mean, he was going.
O-Dog played second base in my first ever big league camp. O-Dog didn't stop talking the whole time. O-Dog definitely has energy, and I bet it's just gray energy now. Does he have any gray hairs?
He's got like a little goatee, and there's a little gray in there. I kind of laughed at him because I was like, "Oh, dog, getting old." And he's like, "Look at his body. You think I'm getting old, dog? Come on."
Oh yeah, O-Dog.
All right, let's show you the spring training tour before we dive into topic number one, and plenty of combos coming up. Corbin Burnes, Josh Naylor, Mike Hazen, Trey Mancini. We were in Dodgers camp yesterday. It was awesome. We actually did 6 shows yesterday under the FT Network umbrella. We're including Fair Territory and Trevor May show, Mayday, the whole deal. The evening we had with the sit down with Dave Roberts was awesome. We'll get to that. But Rangers, White Sox, A's the next 3 days after Diamondbacks camp today. And now let's charge the mound and talk about Doc. I mean, did we not line this up months ago and say, I believe March 10th will be the day Dave Roberts agrees to an extension with the Dodgers to be the highest paid on a per year basis manager in the sport right now? Kratz, what did you think of that news? And then, of course, we spoke to him. We'll mix in some clips from Milana and Clint in their sit-down conversation with him for almost an hour. They did a little toast, a little vino for the sit-down.
I mean, you can never discount a large contract, but it's like, was there ever a more slam dunk contract like this? I get it. You know, it's the most anybody's getting, that anybody has. He set the new bar. I get that part of it. But like, it was like, okay, yeah, he should have. That's really, I mean, we talked about it months ago, and now it just came to fruition.
Why didn't Brandon Gomes announce this on the show yesterday? We had the guy who was signing him to this contract. We couldn't get him to announce it on our show. I don't get it, but as Mark Weiner told him last night when they were doing the sit down together, he said, why isn't this done yet? Why is this not? Do you have to take a physical? Like, how does this work? Because it should just be him signing the contract, right? I don't understand why they're I mean, I understand why they're waiting, because they want to have a press conference and they want to do the whole deal. But all he's got to do is sign the piece of paper, 4 years, $32+ million. Let's go, Doc. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, right, he gets a little over 8. It's 8.1 a year. And Council's making 8 a year. Now, Council's on a 5-year contract. Doc now, including this year, has 4 years left. But he does get to be the highest paid manager in the sport. I actually personally thought he was going to get closer to 10, AJ. But I don't know. The leverage on the other side with these situations is that I think ownership groups, even the richest and nicest ones, can say, do you really want to go somewhere else?
He doesn't. I wouldn't. If I was him, would you want to leave that team, that organization, with what they built and what they're continue to build and the money they have to continue this thing? I don't know why he would want to. So, listen, he can thank Craig Counsell for getting the deal he did. I know Craig had to leave his hometown in Milwaukee to go to Chicago, but because of the deal he signed this there and got Dave Roberts paid, and as a manager making $8 million, good for you guys, because the managers do a lot of work. I know people think they're replaceable, but a good manager can win you a lot of games.
He did give us some news last night that we weren't aware of. There was some good and some bad to it. The bad was the injury. The good was an opportunity for a player who's been through a lot of injuries and should be their number 5 starter. So let's run the clip on his rotation.
As far as the 5th starter, I think it's Dustin because of he's pitched well, getting back. Tony with the little hiccup, just not being able to build up. I think Dustin makes a lot of sense.
Talking about Dustin May, and then on the other end there, Kratz, Tony Gonsolin had a little weightlifting injury of some sort. We didn't get a ton of details on it, but it doesn't sound like he's going to be ready to start the season. So that at least makes that battle easier to decipher. And they do have a lot of starting pitching depth for this reason.
Yeah. I mean, how many guys have gone over 160 innings in their starting rotation? That's okay. That's okay because they're just going to continue to use that depth. I honestly, months ago when Dustin May, when it was saying, okay, he's going to be ready for opening day after coming back from his tons of injuries that he had with the esophagus and the arm and everything, I thought they would start slotting him into the bullpen. Then as the offseason went, they started adding more and more to the bullpen. So to me, when you throw 100 with run and sink like he has, you got to exhaust all opportunities to be in the rotation. And I think that's awesome that he's hopefully locked down the fifth spot.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back, Dustin May. And listen, one of the things we've talked about, the Dodgers, they have at least 10 starting pitchers. Now, they've already lost a couple of them due to injury, but they have enough to cover it because of Brandon Gomes and Andrew Freeman going out and getting depth, and that's what teams do. And we talked to Mike Hazen later. He's going to talk about the depth they have here in Diamondbacks camp also and how important that is. Look at the Yankees, Gerrit Cole having TJ today. Guess what they don't seem to have a lot of? Depth. Teams that win have depth in their starting rotation, depth in their player pool. They can pull guys up from the minor leagues, have them ready, tread water until their guys come back. And listen, the Dodgers have it, the Diamondbacks have it, some other teams have it. Those are the teams that usually win.
Yeah, and they had to get more of it last year at the trade deadline too with Jack Flaherty. And yeah, there were some ups and downs in the playoffs, but he had some big ups for them. I don't know if they're in that spot without Flaherty because they didn't have many healthy starters that could give you 5+ innings in the postseason, and they end up victorious for that reason, the reason of always looking at more starting pitching. All right, let's go back to that conversation. Dave Roberts spoke about the World Series championship that he has now, which is his second, and really wiped away any of the asterisk talk.
I don't dream about it, but I do. It's interesting is that as a man, or for me, I'll speak for myself, is regular season, I can recall a lot of things over the years, but in postseasons, I just have a hard time recounting certain moments, and I don't go back and dissect, and it's just like whether they ended up well or they didn't end up well. But yeah, there was an asterisk on 2020, which I still to this day think it's BS because
it's
people
harder.
just seem to forget how hard life was then, and they don't appreciate that translated to our season, which was just as hard, if not harder, where people aren't with their families and they're doing spit tests and you're in a bubble. Guys, it was hard, but I love the one where people go to me, hey, now we won one. It's good that we finally won one.
You're like, what are you talking
about? And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm the biggest Dodger fan, but we finally won one. I'm like, well, I guess 2020 doesn't count, but that's another podcast. That's another conversation.
That's another sit down. That's another sit down.
Yeah, then I need the harder stuff for that one.
He was good though. I highly recommend it. Right, we do a lot of content on our network, but Kratz, the whole conversation is worth a listen because he goes in depth on each decision that he made in the World Series, how he lined up the starting staff, who he felt comfortable using back to back, etc. Basically, how to get yourself to 4 wins. Not, just how we get game to game in the playoffs. Sometimes we use that phrase like, hey, you just got to win today. But he did really look at it in a more long-term view.
Especially talking about like Honeywell when he had to throw, and then talking about guys couldn't go back to back. If we put another guy out there that was going back to back, then what does that even look like for game 5 for them? Like it's more than just, yes, you have to win that game. But when he was able to come out at the end and win the World Series, you look at every move and you go, okay, this move happened because of this. And the way he explains it is tremendous. And it's rare that you get that much of a deep dive into managers' thinking throughout an entire series.
What I wanted to know was there was two things I wanted to know. One, did he call Kevin Cash and thank him for taking Snell out of the 2020? Because listen, that's a real World Series. I know they got a ring, so then to me it's a real World Series. And then second of all, why do people question it? I just don't understand. And what he's saying about it doesn't count. Like, why? They still won. They still beat every other team. There were still 30 teams trying to get to the postseason. There were still the teams in the postseason, and they still had to win the games. Yes, I know it was shortened, but this is their second World Series win under Dave Roberts. So I don't know why people question it. I love hearing his insight. I love hearing why he made these moves and all that. But that's, again, how managers can win and lose you series and playoff games and this and that. And he's one of the best in the business, and he deserves all the credit.
That 2020 season, that was my last season. I played in it, the entirety of it. It was short, but all the stuff, what he said about, families needing to take the tests and guys. I mean, I was just telling the story the other day. Guys would get off the bus and not talk to each other because they were holding their spit in to be able to make sure they could get all the spit into the whatever, the vial thing that you had to go into. And people were like, whatever. It was, all you had to do was spit. It mattered just the same. Games were played 9 innings. Guys were playing at their max ability. Nobody was like, whatever, it's 2020. It's not a big deal. Everybody wanted to win. We fell short against the Rays in Game 5.
By the way, yeah. I just got to ask this before, I know we're digging in, but I could just see Kratz's little bio that popped up. Did it really say like 1989 All-Star Game AAA MVP? Is that in your bio? Is that one of the things they put in your bio?
I didn't see the bio. I got to see that. 1989, I think
whatever,
that might have been.
What year? What is it?
2009.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a glare behind me.
2009
AAA All-Star Game MVP?
AAA All-Star Game MVP. It was on ESPN. Don't worry about it if you're already in the big leagues. It was my big leagues at the time.
10 years already.
It was my big leagues at the time.
Okay.
Some of us just don't know about that life. It's okay. I'll let you know.
I'm glad I didn't know about that life.
Tough crowd.
It's just funny to me. I was like, man, what's that box say? Oh, and I could barely read it because obviously the sun's behind me. And then I'm like, wait, does that really say AAA? There, let's see. Yeah.
You like your last line?
I love the box ended Moneyball A's. That should be the top one, right? That for me, because that means how much I love that movie. That should be number one. I can't. Oh man, hopefully we get Billy Bean on Friday. We can talk about that when we go to the A's camp.
Oh, I would love 10 minutes just on all of that. That would be great. Anyway, all right. Last thing here from the Doc Roberts conversation. I really loved how he gave us the inside word on Walker Buehler on the bus. He's texting with the front office, Brandon Gomes, actually being like, yo, if things get wonky, I'm good. And they told Doc, and Doc wrote back to Brandon Gomes in the front office, tell him no thank you. And then, of course, they did end up using him. And Buehler was right. So it's just crazy how the postseason unfolds like that. And I just thought the conversation was super fascinating. So anyway, that's it on that, because you can watch the whole thing. You can listen to the whole thing. Dodgers Territory lays the entire conversation out for you with Dave Roberts from last night. You can catch it on demand wherever you get your favorite podcasts and shows, FT-wise. All right, when we swing back, Mike Hazen, front office leader of the Diamondbacks, joining us on FT. FT fam, let's talk Arena Club, okay? arenaclub.com/foul is where you can go to get 20% off your first slab pack or your first card purchase, as our showrooms are filling up. Kratz, are you jealous of the pulls that AJ Pierzynski has pulled off so far?
Yeah, I mean, how does the rich get richer? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. A little Bob Gibson signed card.
But the Bob Gibson one's cool. Like,
when do I get more cards? I need more cards, right? I got a Josh Bell rookie. I got a Bob Gibson auto. Like, when do
you don't have a Josh Bell rookie? You have a James Wood rookie.
James Wood rookie.
Sorry, my bad. The Nats camp, Josh Bell, James Wood, they're both there. Sorry, my bad. James Wood.
When, anytime.
Yeah.
Code's foul on the site, so get after it. Obviously on the app too. But With the slab packs, there are a lot of updates. Number one, it used to be just Tuesdays and Fridays for the drops. Now you can get them anytime, 24/7. You can go rip a slab pack. Also, an instant offer of 90% of the estimated value for you. So if you're like, man, I don't want this card, sell it back to them. You can open up another slab pack, obviously pay for another slab pack, get after it, but you can accept that on the spot, which is simple, fast, risk-free. It's the spot for collectors and even just those a little bit curious about the card space to buy, sell, trade, display, rip packs. So right now, 20% off your first slab pack or your first card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul, code FOUL for your first purchase. Back with us here. We've got the leader of the front office for the Diamondbacks, Mike Hazen, joining the show. Mike, great to have you. Happy spring training to you and happy offseason to you. Did you have fun?
Yeah, appreciate it. I don't know if I describe the offseason as fun. I mean, I think we were fairly productive, but it's fairly stressful, as you're trying to do what you can when you have a good team to add to the team as much as possible to give these guys every chance to win. That's on us. Like, we need to give them the resources and the teammates and the tools to be able to go out there and compete. So that's stressful for us because we need to deliver. We need to do our job so they can do theirs.
84 wins 2 years ago, you go to the World Series. 89 wins last year, you don't make the playoffs. Then you go get Corbin Burnes, you go get Josh Naylor, you have some other losses, but you make some smaller additions here and there. What's the offseason like when you look at it and you say, we went to the World Series, and by the way, we had the ring here. It's a fake one, but
sick.
Yeah, the fake National League Championship ring.
Yeah,
and then you go 89, you don't make the playoffs. Is in your mind just burning?
Yes.
To make additions to get you back to
it was a tough offseason. It was a tough last day of the year. I had never been through something like that before. I know that this format hadn't come down to tiebreakers, and back in the day you played in if you tied, right? Whether you were in or out. If it was seeding, you could have tiebreakers, but you used to play in or out. I remember that. I think it was in 13 where there were those multiple tiebreaker games.
Yeah, I lost one of those.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You just love breaking my heart,
sorry
don't
about
you?
that. Yeah. But so that was really disappointing and left a very bitter taste in all of our mouths. And knowing the team that we had and the way we played and leading the league in runs, which we did not anticipate, we left a lot on the table last year. There were so many games that we look back on that we should have done a better job in. We just didn't, and it's the way it broke. But yes, it gave us a lot of fuel going into this offseason, knowing the team that we have on the field, the talent we have in the rotation and in the lineup, that we had to go and push this thing forward. And I felt like we did that in a few different ways. And this is a good team. It's good players. They're competitive. They're young. They're hungry. And we'll see where it takes us. We know we're playing in a tough National League, all across the National League, not just the West. And we respect that, and we're going to have to play our best to get into the playoffs.
Listening to you talk, it sounds like you're decently competitive. Is that tough to make the right choices when you're so close and you know that once you're in the playoffs with your rotation, everything to push? Is it hard to make the right choices for the organization when your competitiveness says, let's just go for it?
Are you trying to ask me if I do dumb stuff?
That is the nice way of what I was trying to say.
Okay. I try not to do that. We try very hard to not overreact and be emotional in our decision-making. However, I do know that the players in that clubhouse are looking at us to deliver. And there is a responsibility that we have if we're going to ask them to go out there and compete in the landscape that they have to compete in, that we have to do our job to the best of our ability, which means not taking a season for granted. Working in Boston for so long, we used to say that all the time. You can never take a major league season for granted. Like, what's on paper doesn't mean anything. You have to constantly add to your rotation. You have to constantly add to your depth, your lineup. And we feel that pressure. We feel the pressure in order for us to ask the players to do what they need to do. So we try to walk that line. We know the long term is also part of our job to take care of the organization. But yeah, pushing in to go for it. This team on paper, where we left last season, it wasn't really a hard choice, to be honest with you. We have a number of guys that are maybe expiring at the end of the year, and who knows what that ultimately means, whether we keep them or not. But I'm not going to take that for granted either. And we want to make sure that a talented team has every ability to go out and compete.
You brought in a guy, Corbin Burnes, who he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. What was that pursuit like? Because we've talked to him, and he said Scott Boras kind of went to Ken Kendrick, your owner, and they got a deal done. What's that pursuit like from your end? And I was surprised I told Corbin, when I saw Corbin Burnes to the Diamondbacks, I was like, whoa, wait, I didn't have that one on my bingo card. So how surprised were you were able to get that done? And how happy were you that ownership gave you the money and the funds to go say, hey, go get this guy?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was surprised too. Not that we didn't have interest in him, or I didn't know that we were gonna his interest was gonna be reciprocated. We're out here. I think we have a good setup structure. We do hear a lot from players that they want to play here. A lot of guys live here. We want to create a competitive advantage for us, that this place can become the hub of a lot of guys wanting to marry winning and competing, and also their family, and the easier, as hard as being a Major League Baseball player can be, travel, being away, can we create something that's a little easier? And does that make a 50-50 ball a deciding factor? So yeah, we're very appreciative. I'm appreciative that our owners and Ken and Derek stepped up and also feel the way they do about our team. I feel like it's our job to prove to our owners that they should invest in the team, that this team deserves to be invested in. And there were years where we weren't very good, and I didn't feel that way. And they may not have seen it that way either. We tried to do the best we could to put our team on the field, but to go and do something like that, I think you have to prove to them that if they're going to make that investment, that you can return on that investment. And we're so fortunate to have a player like Corbin Burnes on our team. We have other really good players. He's a number one starting pitcher. It's the single probably most valuable commodity for any team, to have a true number one starting pitchers on your team, and we have multiple. And I think that's good for a team going into a 162 game season. And then if you're fortunate enough to get to the playoffs, we know what that means in the playoffs too.
Can you believe that Christian Walker is no longer a Diamondback? Because all that he did, he got his opportunity with the Diamondbacks. Watching him play in the minor leagues, playing against him, he was a dude, right-handed hitter that struck out a lot in the minor leagues. They go to Japan. They stay in the minor leagues, stay in AAA. You guys gave him the shot in Arizona. Is it tough to see him walk out the door?
Of course it is. It's always tough to watch somebody like that walk out the door. But can I tell you something else? You know how happy I am for Christian Walker and all the things that you described, and all the areas when he got to the big leagues late as a player, where we were playing him in left field in AAA because we were having trouble finding him a defensive home. He made himself everything he's become, and the amount of money he went out and earned, that is his right in the free agent market to earn. I'm happy for him. I'm sad the human being isn't here, but to be happy for what he's accomplished in his career. And he's the example that we talk about today in our one-on-one meetings in spring training to players that haven't found that home yet, of what you can become if you do what Christian Walker did. So look, it's a little bit of mixed feelings. Like, for every selfish reason I want him here, I'm ecstatic that he went out and earned what he did in where he was in his career at 27, 28 years old. So I'm happy for him, as screwy as that can sound sometimes.
Man, your Boston accent is still thick.
Sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't.
It just, it just makes me, because we were together in Boston. But I want to know this, and we've had a lot of GMs, president of baseball ops, on in our spring training tour. How much time of yours is split between the big league team? Because obviously we ask all the questions about the major league team. But how much of your time is spent on the minor leagues? Because we have the minor leaguers walking around. We have the minor league fields here. So how much is that split, and how much do you have to trust your minor league people to come to you and say, hey, we got this guy that's going to be this and this and this, or you want to go put your eyes on him?
Yeah, I'm probably the worst evaluator in this organization, so I try not to do that too much. I do go and watch. The trust that we have in the people that are making recommendations is 100-0. But I do like to be able to, it's become a little harder when you're a farm director, when you're assistant GM. It was easier to go for 5 days at a time during the season to the minor league cities and go spend time and watch those guys play. It's become harder for me to be able to do that during the course of the year. So I do value spring training tremendously to be able to spend a lot of time on the backfields. There's not a ton to watch all the time over on the major league side. Those guys are getting ready. What you're evaluating isn't real in a lot of cases. They're just, they're working on pitches and they're just trying to get ramped up. So there are times I do want to go watch some players play. But for the most part, the time I get to spend back here watching these guys play, I feel like is almost even more valuable to be able to lay our eyes on those guys. So when those names do come up during the year, I have a better feeling for who exactly they're talking about. And it's less so the guys in AAA and the big leagues. It's more so the A-ball guys. When we're moving A-ball guys up from low A to high A or high A to double A, I have a better sense for what they're talking about.
Could you believe that Josh Naylor was available when you called Cleveland?
I mean, in some ways, yes. We were actually talking about that this morning. Look, teams have to operate in different situations and different structures. So I get it. Like, in some ways, he made all the sense in the world for us. In other ways, he may not have if we were in a different spot. But having that player, the energy, the passion on our team, wondering what was going to happen with Walk at that time because that situation hadn't gotten settled yet. And I can never take free agency for granted that you're going to be able to re-sign your players. Yeah, we were very fortunate he was available. He's a tremendous player. He's going to have a tremendous year for us. I think what he adds into our clubhouse is going to be significant. I think we have a roster that's hardworking, determined, motivated, and very serious about what they do day to day. And I think he's a little bit of a wild card in the dugout, in the clubhouse, in terms of the energy.
He's awesome.
Awesome.
And don't look him in the eyes because you'll get lost in this.
No, yeah. And I love that. It's actually one of the driving factors for why we acquired him. We had Longo and Tommy Pham a couple years ago, and I felt like those two guys in the clubhouse when we were making that run were so critically important that not just in energy, but just the way they approached the game and their life for our younger kids was so important. And that was something we were looking to make sure we had in our clubhouse.
Hey, Mike, what did you think of your division rival, the Dodgers, this offseason? 2 years ago, you guys took them out in the playoffs on your way to the World Series. Of course, last year was their year, and they end up winning, and, of course, drew a lot of attention this offseason. So what do you think about what they're doing, and how much does that motivate you to, of course, slay the dragon, for lack of a friendlier term?
Yeah, I try not to think about what they're doing too much. I mean, what do you want me to say? Look, you
guys beat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Mike.
We did. I appreciate that. Yep, that was a good reminder. Look, they're one of the best run organizations in sport. That's probably the biggest problem we have is it's not just that they have the resources to do what they do. Go look at how they draft and develop. Go look at the young kids that are on their roster. They're given the opportunity to make trades or, withstand the pitching injuries they had, let's say last year. It's all because of the guys under the hood over there. And so that's the biggest issue we have is that it's not just they have the resources. It's they're one of the best run organizations, and we have a tremendous amount of respect. We're going to have to deal with them. It is what it is. Everybody has to deal with them, but we're going to have to deal with them. But I try not to focus too much on that. We consciously try to focus on the race that we're going to run, that we have to run over 162. And I think with the talent that we have on this roster, if we do our job, we're going to at least be able to go out there and go toe-to-toe with them at some point.
And we're excited, man. We're excited to watch this.
I think you guys are going to be great.
Appreciate that.
I really do. I love your lineup. I love your pitching. I love your bullpen. And Torrey, even though he canned me, you guys canned me together one time. I still think you guys are awesome.
That wasn't my choice. That was all Torrey. Torrey did that.
It was all Torrey. That's right. That was right. It's all Torrey.
Yeah, Mike was like, no. And Torrey's like,
don't do this. It's a bad idea.
Bad idea.
No, we're doing this.
Yes. No, it was all good.
He's going to talk about us on Foul Territory.
All good.
Mike, this was awesome. Thanks for stopping by, and have a good rest of the camp. All right? Enjoy things.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, while we have a moment, we didn't get to this yesterday because we were busy at Dodgers camp, but we did get a Friday news dump that the A's made a jersey patch deal. Apparently, it was like towards the bottom of what MLB would accept. This, according to the Evan Drellick article in The Athletic. He's been all over the A's coverage, but they are actually going to have Vegas on a jersey patch because the guy who leads the convention, whatever the heck it's called, association, right, to try and get attention to the city, has now put that patch that you're looking at on the screen on the uniforms for the next few years. AJ, $2.5 million this year, 2.75 in 26, and $3 million in 2028. It is not a brand. That's tax money. And it will remind people that Sacramento is just a temporary home. Who was it that said, Steve Hill, who's the head of the group, the public entity that controls these tax dollars, said, frankly, one of the reasons something like this hasn't been done, at least for a team that's moving, is that they're still in the city they're moving from. We couldn't have done this with the Raiders, for example, because it would have just been rude. They're in the city they're moving from, and that's kind of in your face, just not appropriate. But because they're moving to Sacramento for 3 years before coming here, it opened up that possibility of doing that. It's an unlikely situation to occur again often. What do you think?
It's kind of not very nice. Like you just read. It's kind of weird because they're not even allowed to be called the Sacramento A's, even though they're playing in Sacramento. Yeah, so why don't we just start calling them the Vegas A's right now? Let's go, John Fisher, and whoever else is in charge. Let's just start calling them the Vegas A's. If you're gonna have Vegas on your sleeves and they're not gonna have the name of the city they're in, I'm just gonna start calling them the Vegas A's.
No more than they couldn't get more than that. 2.6, 2.8, 3 million. I feel like a patch should bring you more than that. It's a large area. We're not talking about a small market. Sacramento is like, there's a ton of people that live there. I don't understand why they couldn't have sold it for more. I feel like there's more that we don't know is going on in this situation.
Well, they're already friends with the guy. I can tell you why.
Why would somebody buy it?
What do you mean?
Sacramento's not a big area, and they're already going to lose most of the Bay Area fans because they're pissed at them. So it's not a big market. And I'm going to be honest with you, Vegas is not a gigantic market either. It's like 40th on the list of markets. So it's not like they're Guggenheim in LA, or what's the New York one where they can pay $99 to get a patch on your arm on your official jersey.
Star Insurance, $25 million a year, but that's the Yankees, and they had it. They were looking externally. They just did a deal with their friend. They weren't really shopping it around. Hot corner time. We covered this yesterday, but we'll just double down since it wasn't made official, the surgery, until after the show. So TJ for Gerrit Cole, and he is out for the 2025 season. He's probably going to miss some time in 2026 as well, guys. I mean, you're looking at usually at least a 14-month recovery. Sometimes it could take 16, even 18 months. So the expectation would be maybe mid-season of 2026 for Cole, and he'll lose out on his age 34 season this year and part of his age 35 season coming up. Remember, AJ, he received a lot of coverage a few months back when he opted out of his deal, and there was a lot of questioning going on as to why he ended up opting back in. We kind of talked about how maybe there was some insurance issues. Maybe the Yankees were concerned about the medicals, and they were like, this is as far as we'll go. But anyway, this is a huge loss for the club, and I do want to spin it forward, too, and figure out if the Yankees need to do anything, because immediately everyone's like, well, they got to get Sandy Alcantara. I'm like, oh, hold up. That's not an easy pull.
They got to get Dylan Cease, right?
Yes,
every starter that's on the market, they got to get him. But it's a huge loss for them just because he's the leader of their rotation. Say what you want, but this guy has been in New York, and he has pitched really well in New York, and he can handle it. He was a Yankee fan growing up. We all know that. But this guy, it's a huge loss, not only from just the innings and the quality innings he gives them, but also from a leadership standpoint, showing some of the, Max Fried that's coming in there for the first time as a starter to show him how it's done. So I think this is a huge deal. And yes, he's going to miss all 25 and probably some of 26 too. It sucks for him. It sucks for him personally. It sucks for the Yankees. But it's a good thing maybe he didn't opt out, because who knows? But again, like you said, we talked about it at the time when he opted out and then he opted back in. That whole thing, was there something more that we didn't know about? maybe this was the thing we didn't know about.
He's irreplaceable. The rest of Twitter and Instagram are all going to make comments. Oh, well, okay, we're just going to go get this person. We're just going to go get this person. No matter who you get, you can't add what Gerrit Cole has been to this rotation. But last year, look at other guys stepping up. Look what Luis Gil did. Look what the Yankees organization being able to fill in different pieces. Were able to have success. I felt like Rodon stepped up in a big way when up until that point, he really hadn't stepped up in a Yankees uniform. So maybe with that alpha male out of the rotation, it is an easier transition for Max Fried. It is an easier time for Rodon to step up and be that guy. Marcus Stroman is sitting out here. He's going to get his 140 innings, so he's going to be out there every day. And you never know who's going to be the one that steps up, but somebody has to. You can't lean on this guy anymore, and you can't find somebody that would actually replace what he brings.
And it's Cole and Gil. That's the thing. Gil's obviously most likely going to come back, but to me, AJ, that's also the huge factor here is losing two upper echelon starters so quickly before the season even begins, and you're going to deal with more. Everyone does. Everyone deals with more crap in their rotation. So it's even more so on Fried and Rodon at the top of that rotation. But they're losing out on.
Best team still? Are the Yankees the best team still in that division with what the Red Sox have done? Are they the best team in that division?
For me, man, it gets real close now. Gets real close. It's not just the Red Sox. The Orioles still should have a really good team too, especially on offense.
Rays always think they're going to be good. Blue Jays, who knows?
I thought the O's were already the best team in the division. Mm-hmm. And I think this just shortens. Look, that's a really good rotation. We don't know what Will Warren's going to be unless you're a Yankees, unless you're a Yankeeographer and you know what he's been doing in the bushes. You just don't know what you're going to get out of Clark Schmidt. But to me, it's a very solid rotation. I felt like the Orioles were already ahead, but now you lost another big bat in that lineup. You lost some of your depth with some of the other guys in the lineup and on the bench. They never filled the third base void. I get it. They're filling from within, but I just think there's a lot that Aaron Judge has to do again, and that's a lot of pressure to continue to do what he's done the last 3 out of the last 4 years for this team, or 2 out of the last 3 years.
Is it more realistic that they try and get someone at the back end? I was looking at the free agent market aside from Gibson and Lynn. Why doesn't Spencer Turnbull have a job? I mean, Kratz, you saw him with Philly last year.
Yeah.
He was pretty good. I'm like, wait,
honestly, what? I forgot that he was still out there. I don't know. Is he asking for a different type of role? Does he want to make sure he is a solidified starter? Because when he was a starter last year, this dude stepped in and he essentially took that job. Yes, they put him back in the pen, but that rotation was stout, and then he got hurt. And so I don't know how much that time he's like, I missed that time. I want to be a starter. You look at his career, that's where he seems like he's the most comfortable. And I really don't know. I don't know why he's still out there, but I've said that probably 10 to 15 times this offseason already.
Yeah, I mean, he added a sweeper. He was awesome as a starter, and then eventually had the lat injury actually that cut his season in half after he was moved to the bullpen shortly after that. But, I mean, dude's talented. I would definitely expect to see him at some point in the bigs. Not like he shouldn't be in the big leagues. I mean, that's a big league arm right there who should be starting, even if there's an injury concern. I can see how the Yankees might have a little PTSD because they have so many injury-prone situations. But anyway, we'll see what happens. It's definitely a problem now. It's official since yesterday. Gerrit Cole is going to miss some time, and he'll be back. He's one of the best pitchers in our sport for a long time now. Don't forget, Justin Verlander had Tommy John surgery even later than this, came back, and in his first full season back, he won a Cy Young Award. Sometimes, you might feel even better than ever. Jacob deGrom's back now, too, from a second TJ. This is only the first one for Cole, so that stands out as well. All right, next up, Josh Naylor. FT debut on FT next. we don't obsess over spring training stats on this show, but we will point out some things like Christian Yelich now homering in back-to-back games. Why is that important? Because they got to keep him on the field. Kratz, he was awesome last year. He was basically back to his prime. I mean, he was amazing, but he played about half a season. 152 OPS plus, 315, 406 on base, 504 slug, 11 homers, 21 stolen bases in half a year. Then the back was barking. So what do we think?
The back's been barking since 2018. And I'm hoping that this really, really helps him just jump right back into the season of where he was last year. He's been dealing with the back stuff for a minute. And hopefully this alleviates that. Maybe those bags, 21 bags in basically a half a season. Yep. Maybe that goes down. But I don't know. I don't know about back injuries. It seems debilitating. But what I do know is that pitch, obviously we saw the side angle of that home run that he hit. It was a backdoor breaking ball that he took to left field. When Christian Yelich is right, I have never seen anybody do that better. The ability to turn on a pitch, yes, but also take that backdoor breaking ball and hit an opposite field home run over the left fielder's head, left center gap. And when he's doing that already in spring training, it should bode well. I don't really care about the stats. I look at a swing like that, and how does that equate to a dude that is really trying to stay on his legs and rotate well with that new surgically repaired back?
AJ, how much DH time do you want for him?
Whatever it takes to keep him on the field. I don't care if he has to play the outfield. Never. Whatever it takes. They need him in this lineup. They need him to hit, and they need him to be productive. Now, my only question, I know Kratz we love Yelich. I love Yelich. Was the wind blowing out because Oppo on a backdoor breaking ball? Like, are we Christian Yelich at that? I don't know. I just want to know, Yelich, was the wind blowing out at Maryvale yesterday? Because we know it wasn't on the road. He was in the whites.
Check the All-Star. Yelich don't have gray pants. Come on, not even in Arizona. Yelich ain't got no gray pants. But it was the wind, check the All-Star game. Ask Charlie Morton. Ask Charlie Morton. That backdoor curveball comes back. He's the best I've ever seen at that. And you're like, no way. It's just a single to left. Dinger. That's locked in Yelich.
We've got Josh Naylor on the show making his FT debut, and we love watching you play, Josh. So it's awesome to have you on here. Love watching the passion. Great to have you. And yes, exactly. AJ does that all the time.
Are we rocking the baby in Arizona this year?
No, we're gonna pass on that.
We retired that?
Yeah.
Oh man, come on.
Yeah.
Did you do that when you found out the news, though? So, I mean, give me your reaction over the offseason when you found out you're going to be joining the Diamondbacks. Obviously, you had a great run with Cleveland. They made it to the CS this year, but the Diamondbacks were in the World Series a couple of years ago, and you can see how talented this team is too, right?
Extremely. I haven't told anyone this, but it was that day I got traded. I was training at Push Performance, and my mom called me on the way home. And whenever she calls me, I use my GPS always wherever I go around here, and I missed my exit because I didn't hear it turn, or I didn't hear it say turn. So I took the wrong exit, and as I'm driving, I see D-backs place Chase Field on my left, and I'm just like, damn, that's a really nice stadium. And then I get home, hop on Call of Duty with my boys. Hour into playing Call of Duty, I get a call, and I knew if this person called me in the offseason, I was getting traded. But it was just kind of weird that I saw the stadium, looked at it, kind of just, it was just a weird full circle moment.
Wait, whoa. You can't tell who the person if they called you?
Nah, I don't need to go that far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But so when you're on Call of Duty, you're in the middle of a round or whatever, your phone rings, you're like, hold on, boys, I'll be right back. I just got traded. And then you pick up the phone?
Before I picked up, I said, guys, I just got traded. I got to handle this. And then I turned all the game off and handled the call and then moved on.
Were you surprised?
Yes and no.
Were you surprised maybe not that you weren't, because we kind of talked walking over here, you weren't surprised that you got traded, maybe? Or were you surprised you got traded? Because you kind of said, well, I thought maybe, but I wasn't sure.
I kind of had a good feeling I was going to. maybe didn't think it would happen, but at the same time thought it would happen. It was just I was in a weird spot with that.
Are you happy you got traded?
Oh, extremely happy.
I mean, you ended up in a great place.
I'm always thankful for a uniform on my back. Very grateful for the opportunity to play baseball and then being with a great team here. Such unbelievable guys so far, so I'm super thankful, super blessed.
Are you going to bring the same attitude you brought as you had in Cleveland?
Yeah, I mean,
dude, I love it. How many times have we talked about on the show, man? Like Josh Naylor hitting home runs, running around the bases. The fire was the one where you threw your bat.
Yeah, I love baseball, man. I'm very passionate about it. I love doing cool things for my teammates, not even for myself, really. I just really enjoy doing it for my teammates and winning ball games for them and doing something cool for them, because if one eats, we all eat. So that's my mentality.
You get the boys going in the dugout, in the clubhouse before, or is your passion on the field? Because I feel like most guys' passion on the field may not necessarily equate to what it is pregame and like in the dugout, in the clubhouse.
When I get here, I'm usually kind of laid back and chill until like an hour 30 before game time, and then I'll make a party in the locker room for the boys.
Are you the DJ?
I can be, if you want to party and get ready to win a ball game.
What's the go-to?
I have a lot of songs, a lot of genres I go through. One of my good friends hooks me up with a lot of music, so I try to create a party in the locker room before the game and get the boys fired up, and it's time to go to war.
Is that from your hockey days?
Could
you guys do that? Because listen, I'm from Florida. I don't even know what hockey is, right? So before a hockey game, do you guys get hyped before the game?
I mean, I didn't do that when I was younger. No, but I mean, I don't know why I started doing it. I just love to party before a game and get ready to go to war and, go to war with the boys. So you can ask her. I don't want to give too much attention, but I like being a little DJ here and there.
Okay.
How about go to war in free agency after this season? How much did you watch the first base free agent market this year saying, okay, I'm going to get on there next year?
You know what? I don't really pay attention to those things, to be honest. It's just not me. I don't have an answer for that. I don't really pay attention to it. I just try to lock in every individual day and do the best I can every individual day and then go from there. Whatever's meant to happen is meant to happen. I can't control certain things.
Sure you can.
You can, yes.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. But at the same time, God has a plan for everyone.
That's true. So I want to know, yes, we talked about you getting traded here, but you've been traded before. Yeah. So you're used to kind of being traded. What's the best advice you could give to somebody like Corbin Burnes, who's watching our interview right now?
Yeah.
For, when he switches teams, what's the best advice you could give somebody switching teams?
I think be comfortable being uncomfortable. There's no growth in comfort. Be willing to be open, transparent, and be willing to get to know other people. You're gonna be put in situations in life that you may not feel comfortable, not want to be in, but that's just could be just God testing you. I really think of things that way, and try to break it down like that. Not all good things come on your time, but come in time. Not all things come on your time; they're on God's time. So I just try to take it one day at a time. That's really the best advice I can give.
Josh, can you compare this team now, the first few weeks you're spending with it, to last year's Cleveland club? Like, what do you see that looks similar? What do you see that looks different?
They have the family environment thing down here. It's everyone is super friendly, super loving, kind of like where it was in Cleveland. Everyone's bonded together. We're brothers. We're gonna go to war together every day. We're gonna work hard. This team they're crazy focused on every individual aspect of the game during practice, and it's beautiful. I love working hard, but they have such intent behind everything they do, and it's been so much fun working hard with these guys and getting to learn their game and getting to learn the coaching staff, and it's been beautiful here so far. I'm very thankful.
Go ahead, Kratz.
What about is there a shot that all three of you Naylor brothers, Miles, right? Is it Noah and Miles? What's your other brother's name?
Bo. It's Bo. His name's Noah, but he goes by Bo.
Right. So all three of you get to play on the same field in the big leagues one day. Is that something that I know you've talked about it, probably talked a little smack, but what do you guys talk about, and how soon do you think it's going to happen?
I mean, that would be a blessing, to be honest. And even if we're all on the same team one day, that would be super cool.
You got two. You got Bo already.
I did.
You already checked Bo off, right?
I did. I got to get with Miles next. That would be super cool. What an experience that'd be. I can't even think about it. It'd be so out of this world.
What?
My parents would be happy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they don't have to fly to one place to see you guys. All right, you grew up in Canada. I don't even wish Mississauga. Where is that?
Maybe like 20, 30 minutes outside Toronto.
Outside Toronto, okay. Are the Blue Jays your dream team? Just growing up wise?
No.
And then, they weren't.
Boston was.
Really?
Yeah.
So we could have a Vlad Bo fight to go to Boston. Vlad and Josh fight to go to
Veritek
Boston.
was one of my favorite players growing up.
Veritek?
Yeah.
Were you a catcher?
No, I loved how passionate he was for the game, how he led his group every day in, day out. David Ortiz was up there for me. Pedroia, Coco Crisp. I loved him.
Gosh, you're like all in my era. Yeah. You're like all in my era right now. I mean, I played with all those guys.
Teams, man. Those are my favorite teams to watch. Me,
you like Coco Crisp when he got in that fight. That's why you liked it with James Shields.
You
were like, man, he should have grabbed his jersey.
I know.
Should have pulled it over his head.
Style, yeah. Those are my favorite teams growing up. So my dad and I would watch those games constantly. A Veritek jersey was my first jersy. I'll have to
get him to sign. I'll get him to sign one and send it to you.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope.
I'll call him. He's an Orlando guy. We grew up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Similar. So, yeah, that's awesome. But would you think? What would it be like? Because obviously you grew up outside Toronto, and Canada has the one team, right?
Yeah.
So if you and your two brothers could play for the Blue Jays,
that would be unique.
You guys could sell some serious jerseys.
We could. Yeah, we very much so could. That'd be cool.
Then your parents would have an easy drive. You could live at home. Your mom could cook for you every night?
Yeah. I don't know. It would be cool, but I mean, I'm very big go with the flow now, man. Just whatever's meant to happen in my life is meant to happen. I've been very blessed with a great family, have an incredible wife. I just want to live life to the fullest with them, and wherever I'm meant to be, I'm meant to be.
Okay. Well, Josh Naylor, thanks for joining us. And before you go, give a shout out to Jeremy Guthrie and the kicks you got.
Yeah, incredible. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to wear them this year. I've never had custom cleats before like that.
I only saw the fives.
Oh, I
Those
got some
were
heat.
sick.
I got some heat.
Those were sick.
Yeah, I got some heat there. Super excited to wear them.
I mean, you had boxes and boxes of them.
Oh, yeah, I'm prepared this year. I'm going to change the shoe game.
Okay. All right. Well, Josh Naylor here, thank you for joining us. I love the beanie. It's not that cold here, but it's a little chill.
I wear it every day. I don't like wearing hats. I wear it every day.
Yeah, it's very Canadian. It makes sense. Josh, awesome to have you, man. Great to chat.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Good luck this year.
FT
will be right back.
His brother had the best eyes in the game, by the way. If you can see his eyes in person. Oh, man. They almost like match Kratz' hat today. I mean, they are like mesmerizing.
I mean, we might as well do Kratz hats right now. We'll, of course, come back. We'll do a little Corbin Burnes conversation. But Kratz, do you want to show everyone your hat as we will then show everyone the potential new hat you'll get at some point this season? I love that hat, by the way.
That hat is fire. This might be my favorite.
Yeah.
For spring training.
That hat in person is better than it is even on TV. I'm telling you, that hat, all the Diamondbacks have them on. That hat is fire. I'm not a Diamondbacks fan, but I'm thinking about asking Mike Hazen if he can, slip me one out the side or something. Tori, hey Tori, you don't need one. You're a manager. Can I get one of them hats?
It's cool. Yeah, just tell Tori to say he lost his, and then he can get another one. He can't go out on the field without one. Yeah. Anyway, I bring this up because one of the sexy things to do in minor league ball is rebrand your team for a temporary period of time. The Mets AA affiliate in Binghamton is going to become the Southern Tier Spicy Meatballs for 3 games. I can see the Kratz hats now. And yes, that's a meatball.
That's a spicy meatball.
Wait, what team is that? What team is that?
Binghamton.
And
the Mets AA.
What happened to the Binghamton Mets? And the Binghamton
Rumble
Ponies.
Rumble Ponies.
Yeah. This is just a weekend. This is just a weekend.
The spicy meatballs.
Spicy meatball.
It's the players' weekend we always wanted.
The spicy meatball weekend.
Yeah.
I don't understand how Binghamton is. Are they famous for spicy meatballs? I don't understand why. What's the connection there?
In the southern tier, I have no idea. I played the Toledo Mud Hens when I was on the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, and Iron Pigs, they have bacon as one of their big. So they had a bacon jersey, and the Mud Hens wore a Sunny Side Up Eggs jersey. So it was the Bacon and Eggs series. All 3 games we wore those jerseys. It was pretty corny, but unique.
I didn't get a press release, although I don't sign up for them anymore because I don't like them. They fill up my inbox. So I can't answer the question. I don't know if they just released this. I'm sure there's a little backstory to it, but we're just here to report a little bit of news, and then you can Google the rest. And we'll talk to Corbin Burnes next on FT. Apparently Burnes later. We're back, FT fam, and it sounds like we're working on another conversation. So we'll get to that pretty soon.
Little live combo.
Yeah, we'll let you know. Anyway, let's talk Diamondbacks for a moment here. If you remember, 2 years ago was the Magic, right? They actually won less games in 2023 than in 2024, but there was just more competition for that wild card spot. And it wasn't just Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, some of those starters like Brandon Pfaadt stepping up. The bullpen did damage 2 years ago. And one of those names who really stood out, Kevin Ginkel, joining us right now on FT with the Diamondbacks, and AJ right there. Kevin, do you hear us?
Yeah. It wasn't plugged in all the way.
Oh, okay. You got him? You
There
can
we
hear
go.
him?
Got it. Yeah.
But by the way, he doesn't even
Very
realize
techy.
that we had a Burnes interview lined up here, so you just bumped Corbin.
Really?
So just remember that you can
saw-
go in there and tell him that you bumped him.
All right, I will. I'll let him know. I'll let him know that the big dog's here.
Yeah, let's go. Hey, how does this group look, Kevin? I mean, you've been with the team for a minute now. So do you feel more excited than ever about what you see talent-wise?
It's exciting. It really is. And I know it's kind of an old cliche where everybody's excited for spring training and everybody has expectations, but I just feel like with the club we have and the way the ownership's kind of reinvested into the team, I think the sky's the limit. We got a lot of good pieces here. I think Naylor fitting in at first is going to be nice for us. I love how calm he is. I think on the field you get a totally different Josh Naylor from what I've seen, but I think from how he is in the clubhouse and how he treats other guys, it's nice. So I'm looking forward to this year, and obviously with Corbin Burnes signing with us as well, it's kind of puts us in a different category, and I think solidifies what kind of expectations we can have, and they're pretty high.
What's your role this year? What's your role going to be?
You're going to ask me that?
Well, no, because first of all, who's the closer?
I have no clue.
Well, see so then that's why it leads me to what's your
Right.
role going to be? Because you guys have options.
Right. I think how Torrey's going to line it up, I think he might have Martinez close a game, or he might
There's
have
a bazillion,
have
by the way.
Puck. Right. It could have me, and it really is day to day, right? So like how the bullpen gets used one game, can affect going into the next game. So do
you prefer one? Maybe that should be the question.
I would like to know who's going to close, so it kind of puts everybody else at ease.
Okay, well then that's my question, because we've had some teams are like, oh, it doesn't matter who closes, but every team I've been on, every person I usually talk to that's in the game, you want to have a defined role as a bullpen guy. You're the closer, and then you work your way kind of backwards from there. You have an 8th inning guy, you have a lefty guy, you have a 7th inning guy, so you can get everything lined up for the closer guy at the end. So for me,
Right.
what role?
Yeah, I mean, I've had experience in a lot of different roles. I'm comfortable with the 8th, 7th. Like I like coming into those spots, whether it's the heart of the lineup coming up and, it turns it over to the 8th inning guy or the 9th inning guy, and they maybe don't have to face like the heart of the order, and it makes getting those last 3 outs in the game maybe a little bit easier on paper. But either way, like I love pitching in the ninth as well. It's a great role and it's exciting. Obviously there's pressure to
Plus
it.
you get paid as a closer.
What's that?
You get paid more as a closer.
Exactly. we all know that, and so either way, I'd love to help in whatever ways. But whoever is going to get that role, I think we're gonna be just fine.
I know a career 7th and 8th inning guy in the bullpen, never really got a ton of closing opportunities. And when he did get to close for like 30 games, he's like, wow, my body feels way better because either I'm in the game because we're winning or I'm not. And rarely am I going like, oh, we could get you up, oh no, they protect the closer better. Do you feel like you could stay healthier? Or even other pitchers could stay healthier if they were a defined closer role?
Absolutely, Kratz. I think you notice it with the 9th inning guy, right? Where if the game kind of gets close, it becomes a 2-3 run game. The closer's kind of getting ready to go mentally. And then, if that 8th inning comes around and, we don't have to, pitch him, or we don't have to get him hot on the mound and maybe go in the game, and then the game switches and then we can avoid using him. Those opportunities or those times when you have to get hot in the bullpen are almost like pitching in a game, right? Because you're trying to treat it and with the same intensity and the same kind of energy. And so the wear and tear throughout the season can play a huge role in that. So
why closers are better? Because they don't come out till the 6th inning. They're in there getting massaged and eating grapes from the trainer, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the 7th, 8th inning guys are out there in the 1st or 2nd inning. They all walk out like ducks, right, in a line.
Right.
They all have their backpacks on. But the closer's in there. Oh, I need to take a nap, right? So that's why you want to be the closer. Let's be serious. You want to be the closer so you can take the nap for the first 3 innings.
Well, it is 162 games, right? So, to find rest here and there is hard to get, but I think, you notice it too, right? Like the guys that pitch in the middle part of the game, they come out right in the first inning and we're rolling. So, I've seen, all different guys come through here where, one guy that came to mind right now is Mark Melanson, right? Had a really good career. And I know he kind of struggled with us, but I mean, he was so disciplined and like had an approach in what he was doing. And there was a great intention with why he was doing it. So, he was the guy where it's like, all right, I'm coming out in the 5th. I can just go, and whenever the 9th inning comes and it's close, I'm in there. So,
how much you love Arizona? You went to college in Arizona. Yeah. Now you're in Arizona full time.
I love it, man.
I mean, you're not from Arizona. They're from San Diego,
yeah.
Right? So you become adopted Arizona.
I know. It's like the Southern California thing now, right? Where a lot of people from SoCal are moving out here, and it's been great, to be honest. The summers have gotten tougher year by year, but
you're inside.
Well, I mean, when you walk out to your car, it's 110 degrees at 9 o'clock at night, and so it's gotten. I've really appreciated it more and more, and I got a lot of friends out here now. It makes it a lot easier, and obviously a lot of big league guys live here in the off season too. So I love it, man. It's a great place to be. I think now you're starting to see obviously more free agents want to come here and play here, so it's exciting.
As you were talking about Southern California, I mean, can you beat the A's? I mean, the A's. Can you beat the Dodgers? Can you beat LA?
Of course. I mean, I like to think every time we play them, they play a little bit tighter. I don't know how, like what their dynamic is, right? But, their expectation is to win every game. And I think when the lights are on and we play those big games in the middle of the season, they're going to give us their A game and we're going to try and give ours. But we can beat those guys, man. I feel very confident with that.
In the playoffs, you guys were the last team.
Right. And I think that kind of like set the tone for what the future was going to be, right? So I think that time when we had that run in 2023, it kind of shocked everyone because I think for a long time we struggled against them. And to come into that series and kind of take it to them early on, I think it just kind of set them back and it shocked everyone, to be honest. But, I think we're a better team than what we were a couple of years ago. And Obviously, they're really good too. They're like, we're gonna have our work cut out for us. But I like how it's stacked up.
Kevin, were you more surprised at how much they did this past offseason, like adding Blake Snell and, of course, recruiting rookie Sasaki, or more surprised at how many teams didn't go after some of the players that they were able to pick up?
Yeah, it's kind of the question that's going around, right? Like, how come the Dodgers are getting all these, A+ free agents and whether it's a trade or a free agency, like they're getting these top name guys and no one else really in the market is pursuing it. And it's I will say it's frustrating. I think from an organization standpoint, I mean, obviously the front offices know what they're doing and they have, a certain amount of money they can spend, but it's just frustrating at times where you see, you got 30 teams and then a guy reaches free agency and then it comes down to 4 or 5. And then, the Dodgers are the team usually that are going to pay a little bit more or offer a little bit more. And usually, that free agent is going to take it. So, obviously the deferred money thing has been a topic as well where, they're putting all that money on the back end. And right now they're just going all in to win. So, I'd like to play spoiler with that.
Who is that?
I think that's our man Archie Bradley there. Is he coming in for a tryout?
I don't know. That's why I was like, wait.
I saw him there for a second. I was like, what's he doing here? But yeah, I'd love to play spoiler against these guys, and I think it adds a little more fuel to the fire.
Listen,
for us.
You guys did okay too. I mean, you went out and got arguably the best pitcher on the free agent market,
100%.
in Corbin. You went out and got Josh Naylor. Now I know Christian Walker was a staple here for a long time. He left, but you went out and got a pretty good replacement in Josh Naylor.
Right.
It's not like you guys threw in the towel, but you guys don't have a lot of positions you needed to fill. I mean, you look at your infield; it's pretty stacked. You go to the outfield; it's stacked. You go to the starting pitchers; it was already stacked. Your relievers are set.
Yeah.
It's not like you guys sucked. You won 89 games last year.
I know.
So it's not like you needed. Now the Dodgers are just crazy because they just go get everybody.
Correct.
But you guys are already loaded for bear and ready to go.
I think the other part of it too is now, like, I think when you go through a major league season, you see when guys come up and down and stuff. But to go through a spring training now this year where we missed the playoffs, like we're coming in with a little chip on our shoulder, I think seeing the depth we have, from the position player standpoint and even from the bullpen, right? Like I'm seeing some guys come in and they're like ready to go. And it gets me excited because it's like, okay, if an injury were to happen here or there, like I know a guy or two can step in and fill that position. And so that gets me excited too, where it's like from a depth perspective, like we can fill a lot of holes and, if something were to happen here or there, we can handle it.
All right. Before we let you go, real quick, who throws the hardest on your team?
It's probably, so yesterday during PFPs, we're doing all these drills, right? All these situations. There's never a throw Justin Martinez takes off. So like there's a ball, like a bunt hit. He has to go to the third base side, throw a laser to first. Naylor's at first. He threw an absolute missile. And Naylor was expecting it to maybe sink or whatever. And this ball just blew him up. Was not ready for it. And so to me, like that guy has just a unique arm. Like he can just run it up however he wants. But yeah, I would say J.
Who was the kid who was 101?
Well, Jameson yesterday I saw he was throwing 100, 101.
Jeez.
He just came back from Tommy John too. So it blows my mind seeing like and J Mart was a guy who had Tommy John a couple years ago too and is coming back. So it's like, is that the magic?
No, don't
now?
say that. No, it's not.
No,
Please don't say no. Ask Gerrit Cole where he's feeling right now.
For sure.
Let's not say that, please. No.
So,
That's funny though. Martinez has ride on his throws to first, so that's the.
I wish we would have known that before we talked to Naylor, because we could have asked him about getting blown up from like 120 feet away, and not right, Kratzy, because like we're 60 feet away, and we get it in there, and you'll come in the dugout, and the first base will go clank clank, and you're like, dude, you just got blown up from 120 feet away.
Yeah.
Don't make fun of me.
right.
You try it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Kevin, thank you so much. Good to see you again. Good luck the rest of camp in the year.
I appreciate it.
One of my first verified followers, so I had to follow him back. So So we got something going.
There you
go. Got something going on.
Yeah.
Here, so I'd love to catch up with you guys at some point later in the year. So.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Love you.
We will definitely send the invite out like last year. Thanks, Kevin. Good talking to you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Appreciate Ginkel on with us. Corbin Burnes next. Did you see Vinny Pasquantino just being an absolute insider yesterday? Wow. All right, so you can see SI pointing out how Vinny P is apparently an insider. It's tongue-in-cheek, but he said thanks for some credit. He would like to be referred to as VI NFL insider, NFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino. Why? Because hours before that, he said Justin Fields to the Jets, sources me, 2 years, $35 million. Okay, going to the cages to start my day. He's a Jets super fan. And then Justin Fields did end up going to the Jets. So props to him. Made a nice little prediction. Maybe had some help. Maybe knows an agent or a team executive that we don't know about and said, hey, I think we're going to get Fields. Or Vinny P is just good at finding fits.
Or he threw a dart at a dartboard and he did it. And he's a big Jets fan, so maybe he's tweeted other moves that the Jets should make. I'm sure he was juiced when Ron Rodgers was going there too. So I love watching this side of athletes being able to just be everyday dudes that are you know what? I'm a big Jets fan. I'm going to throw this out before I go to the cage. And then it happened. Pretty freaking cool.
Fan is short for fanatic, and there are plenty of athletes that are fanatics of other sports. And baseball has that, of course, with football. That stands out. They probably have that with football for watching and then golf for playing a sport outside of baseball.
And football because it's the off season. It's the off season. You're like, I can really get into this. And if only there was a show where the players could come on and talk about things outside of the game that really intrigues them, because maybe there'd be a better connection to those players. Oh, wait, there is. Foul territory.
And sometimes an annoying host that says we're talking too much about football, but gets overruled. And he's a nice guy, he's okay with it.
Either way, he's a pretty chill guy. You can still hit the subscribe button. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, if you're watching right now and you're one of the 50% that just doesn't like to press subscribe, then it'd be cool if you did. Yeah, and then maybe even leave a comment and say something, and then we'll read it on the show. Just throwing it out there. Anyway, if you're into a little Corbin Burnes conversation about how he ended up with the Diamondbacks, let's do that next. Look who it is. Corbin Burnes, Arizona Diamondback. How does that sound?
Sounds pretty good. It's been good so far. I've enjoyed it.
What's it like living in the same place? You don't have to move for a long time, right?
That's kind of the thing. As things popped up after the deal, my wife would be like, "Hey, we don't have to worry about shipping cars this year. Hey, we don't have to worry about moving baby shit everywhere." Like each day, it was kind of oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. So, it'll be even nicer once we get in season. Obviously, I had 6 years of spring training here, which was nice. But now when the season starts, not having to worry about going anywhere is going to be sweet.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, as the number one thing and Kratz will tell you, spring training, those 6 weeks, people are like, oh, it's only 6 weeks, but you got to move everything for 6 weeks because then you don't come back home and you have to move again. So the fact that the Diamondback, this should be a big selling point. If I was a Diamondbacks GM and manager and owner, I'd be like, you don't have to move. You can live in Phoenix year round. Spring training's here, and the spring training complex is one of the best. And then you can go right to Chase Field down the street. It saves your wife. It saves your kids. It saves you from moving. And that's a huge plus.
Yeah, even if you're not a guy that lives here in the off season like I do, even if you're just a guy that lives in the Midwest or whatever, you're going to be in one spot for 8 months. You don't have to move twice. So, it definitely was a selling point for sure. But that, along with a really good baseball team, made it a pretty easy decision.
Yeah, but summers are still hot. I get it. The roof is going to be closed. You're being AC. Are you prepped for a summer like that? You're going to get home for 7 days and go, man, I'm burning up.
Well, see, I grew up in Bakersfield, California, and I don't know if any of you guys played in Bakersfield, but it's very similar. So I grew up playing in the 110-degree heat, and so this feels even more like
you're inside. Dude, you're inside. They got a roof. They got air conditioning.
It's still going to be hot at 10 a.m. when I got to go outside and play with my kid.
You got enough money, you can put a dome over your house, right? Walk us through free agency, because you ended up in the place you wanted to end up, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I don't know if you took less money to come here, and if you did, good for you and your family, because at the end of the day, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. But walk us through what it was like being a free agent, and being not only a free agent, but one of the top free agents in all of the offseason this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different than what you expect. I think the dream is every club in baseball calls, which that's obviously not true. You've got a handful of teams that kind of reach out and say, hey, we're interested, and then it kind of drags on for a couple months before you kind of start to get some offers. So for me, it was I knew going in it was going to be kind of a slow process that was going to get dragged on, and every team's trying to steal as much money as they can from you and get you to come play for them. So we were going to be patient, make sure we got what we wanted, where we wanted to be. Yeah, I mean, it was just slow. It's one of those things. You hope that you're signed by Thanksgiving. You hope you're signed by Christmas, so you can enjoy the holidays and know where you're going to be. But the reality is, most times it takes till after the holidays to get something done, and you got to be patient to get the deal you want. So in the end, it worked out, and we're happy to be where we are.
One of your teammates, Bonnie, can attest to this more than you can. Were you afraid, or did you put okay, I saw what happened with other guys in free agency and going into spring training late. Did you set a deadline like I need to figure this out by February 1st so I can have a full spring training, or were you prepared to wait as long as you could?
Yeah, we were prepared to wait. I didn't set any type of deadline. I told my wife, hey, we're going to be on a baseball team next year. That's about all we know. It might take until January, February, March. We didn't know. But we were just going to make sure that we got a deal we liked in a place we liked. So could have maybe got something done a little bit sooner if we really wanted to, just to get off the market to try to avoid that. But at the end, we wouldn't have liked where we wanted to be. So we waited. We got to the number we wanted with the team we wanted, and here we are.
I want to know, because I was shocked when I saw Corbin Burnes, Diamondbacks, because there was a lot of other teams that obviously that we all thought, whether Giants, Orioles maybe going back there, Yankees were obviously talked about, Red Sox. There was a lot of teams that were listed, and then all of a sudden it's like Corbin Burnes to the Diamondbacks. Were you kind of surprised that the Diamondbacks got to that number? Because in the past they haven't gone there for a lot of people, but they chose you basically to say, hey, he's going to be the front of our staff, and you have Gallen, you have Kelly, have Nelson, Rodriguez, Montgomery. You guys got a great staff. But were you a little bit surprised that they got to that number? Because I know I was.
Yeah, I mean, we always were hoping there was a chance we were going to get to come here. There was some interest early on in December. They called and said, hey, we'd love to have you. We don't know if the financials are going to work out. So for me and my wife, it was like, oh, that's always in the back of our head. Obviously, Scott was like, hey, let's they kind of say that the guys we're going to keep pushing these other teams and see what we can get to. And then when they circled back right around Christmas time, just so happened that the GM and the assistant GM were gone, so Scott was dealing directly with Ken. And from talking to Ken now and talking to the other guys around the organization, when Ken gets involved, he's pretty serious. So when that happened, I mean, it was 48 hours, it was done. So he got serious, he got excited, and we managed to get it done. And I think this is the perfect scenario that
don't
we
hit him
for.
You can hit me, don't hit him.
What kind of push did the O's make? Because they gave up a haul for you. Pun intended, I guess, DL haul, but they gave up a huge group of prospects for you that have really shown, hey, you know what, those are good big league players. Did they make a push for you in the offseason?
Yeah, they were fairly aggressive. They obviously wanted me back. I enjoyed my time there. We had a great run there. We just came up short in the postseason, but they wanted me back, and there was basically was going to be a shorter, like high AAV type of deal, which that was always on the table for them if we wanted to go back there. So basically, what happened is we just kind of evaluating all of our options. But yeah, they were definitely kind of hanging around there, basically saying that they would do this if we wanted it, and then we could pursue it. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things that they kind of hung around as long as any other team did. So there's definitely a chance before these guys got serious.
We've had Scott on here a few times. Scott Boras, your agent. How involved is he? How much is he? Because you mentioned like we could have had something done, but then we wanted to wait for the right move. How much is he saying, "Hey, wait, you got to wait. Because as a player, you want to jump, you want to go, and you want to say, all right, I want to sign. I want to sign. Your wife's like, I want to sign. We have kids. We want to sign. We want to know where we're going. But how much is Scott behind the scenes saying, Corbin, just wait until the Diamondbacks are going to come in. I promise you, we're going to get there.
It was actually, Scott was great. I talked to Scott probably every day on the phone. He probably got sick of hearing from me just because I wanted to know what was going on. And, he was, anytime he got a text message from someone, had a conversation with someone, he was letting me know. So he was very, very good up front about it. And actually, the reason probably why it took so long was me and my wife waiting. He had some discussions with teams that were ready to kind of move and get things going quick at a certain number at a certain location that we were like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's keep waiting. So really the waiting for my scenario was me and my wife waiting for what we felt was right and the certain location and the dollar price we thought was right. So yeah, some pieces of it, Scott's like, hey, be patient. At some points, was like, hey, these guys are ready to move. You want to go? So it was a good, I'd say a good working relationship, in that I kind of dictated everything that I wanted, and he was like, sounds good, I'll keep working. And when things came across the table, he shot them my way.
In your mind, what was second place? Because we talked to Zach Wheeler, and Zach Wheeler thought maybe the White Sox, when he had signed with the Phillies back 4 or 5 years ago. Big free agents, you always want to know who the second place team was.
I don't know. There was kind of three teams that were all, I guess, two teams that had very similar offers, both in the AL East and in Baltimore and Boston. The Giants kind of hung around, were there kind of for a while. Toronto was there. They were all. I couldn't give you a close second, just because the number one team on our list and where we wanted to be was here. But there was definitely some teams, listed among those four that had some big offers out. Not necessarily beating what I got, but some good competitive offers.
How good can this team be? Because we were at Dodgers yesterday, okay, and everyone's already saying, hey, you're going to win 162 games. They're going to go 162-0 with their team, their lineup, their pitching, everything they have lined up, their bullpen. I think you guys can be really good. I honestly, I don't know if you can win the division, but I think you guys can be there. And I think you guys get in the postseason, you guys can make a deep run because of your pitching and because I think your lineup is going to be – you guys led the National League in runs last year. So how good can the Diamondbacks be this year?
I think we're really good. The depth we've got in just the rotation alone is kind of stupid. The fact that we're going to have probably three guys that don't make the rotation that would be in a rotation, somewhere around here in Arizona. So the depth we have there is great. The bullpen, some of the arms we have coming up, the Pucks, the Martinez, Dre Jameson threw in the game yesterday was, I think, hit 101, come off TJ. Like, so some of the guys we have coming out of the bullpen are just stupid. And then, like you said, the lineup was number one in the National League last year. And that was with Corbin Carroll having a bad first half. So,
he changed his stance. I saw him hit yesterday. He used to be like this. Now he's got the bat up.
But whatever it's going to do, the guy rakes. But just the excitement, I think, in this clubhouse, knowing that they went from an 84-win team to get the World Series to 89 wins last year and missing the postseason. Like, there's a little bit of extra hunger in there, knowing that, hey, we're a pretty good team last year. We can be even better this year, and we won 89 games last year. So, the excitement's real. Like I say, it takes good pitching and defense to get to the postseason, and then who knows what's going to take when you get in the postseason. But I think we're excited, and I think, like you said, I think we're one of the better teams in the National League, and I think we're ready to go out and prove it.
Is the player development stuff real in the sense that you're a free agent? You hear guys talk about, I sat down for 3 hours and they told me all about their player development. As a free agent, I always say you want to go and win now. If your player development isn't willing to be traded, isn't willing to have a guy that's coming up that year that's Rookie of the Year candidate, MVP. What's more important? I mean, or I should say, how much do you think about that player development part of the Diamondbacks when you were talking about signing there?
I don't think it was necessarily what farm systems look like, because you can have a good farm system where everyone's in rookie ball and A ball, and like you say, they're 2 or 3 years away from having an impact. And if that means 2 or 3 years of being a 500 team before you're winning, that's could be half of a deal that's gone. So for me, it was more when I was looking at a team that one was competitive at the the forefront. They were competitive last year, and then two, just kind of the age of the guys that were on the team. Maybe they don't have a top farm system because they graduated already. Everyone in the big leagues. So you look at this team here. They have Carroll, Perdomo. They got Lawler as their top guy. They're young and they've all graduated off that prospect list. So yeah, their farm system may not be per se the greatest, but it's because they're all in the big leagues. They're up competing. So for me, that was kind of one of the things I looked at. There were obviously a couple teams that reached out that like, hey, we've got a great farm system coming. This guy will be here next year. This guy. So for me, it's like, okay, what's that look like in the meantime for the first 2 years? So for me, when I was picking a team, it was, hey, I want to be competitive for the entire time I'm here. I want to get to the postseason the entire time I'm here. If you have young guys on top of that, that's a plus. But if you got a good competitive team in the big leagues that can win for the window of time that I'm there, then let's do it.
How much did your life change when the Twins came last year? I think they're 9 months old now.
9 months. That was that was wild. We've got 3 under 3 now, so Carter is no longer getting all the attention. He's a pretty good big brother, but he has his days where we're having to change the girls or feeding the girls or something. He's like, put the babies down. It's time for me. Like he'll get a little jealous, but yeah, it's crazy. We're outnumbered now. When if they all want to have a fit at the same time, it's a lot of chaos going on, but it's fun.
Have you taught your son the cutter yet?
No, he still throws with both his left and right hand. So,
so which one are you going to go with?
Well, we'll see.
Are you going to tie? Some people are like, tie my right hand, make it to lefty, right?
The thing with Carter is you say, hey, let's go outside and play catch. It's no. And then we go outside and we jump on the trampoline. And then he starts throwing baseball. So we're kind of learning the technique of like, hey, let's go outside and do something else and just kind of have some baseballs on the ground. And he's like, oh, look, let's play. So he's very stubborn. I'm not sure who he gets that from, but he wants to do things on his own time.
So how is the cutter this spring? Have you taught it to everyone else on the team?
There is a few.
Has Monty come to you and said, man, I really need to
No, he's trying to get rid of the cut. He's trying to get the straight forcing because he's a big sinker guy. But I have had a few questions from Fott. He's come up. He's kind of a natural.
What about Zach?
Four-seam guy.
Because Zach has like 12 pitches anyway.
He can do. He's a different cat. He's got a lot of different pitches.
He's like a lot.
Yeah, he's
mental, right?
Very, very smart, very methodical with how he goes about things. He can do a lot of different things with baseball that I can't. For just Fott's been inquiring a little bit. I'm sure as we get more used to guys around camp and guys wanting to come up and talk, I'm sure there's going to be more questions.
You have a new pitch? Because everyone we talk to is like, I got a new pitch.
New pitch. I don't. I can
kick
make
change.
One
You got a kick change or a knuckleball?
Do it.
Or knuckle curve.
I'm working on a knuckleball. How's that? Let's throw some rumors out there.
Ooh, get ready, boys. Corbin Burnes has a knuckleball.
A 95-mile-an-hour knuckleball.
Did you see the guy that was throwing knuckleballs like 88 the other day?
I did see that. That'll be fun for a catcher.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Starters don't catch the knuckleball. That's my department. That's the backup. They go, hey, here's your once every 5 days. Go chase this thing around.
Wear it off the chest.
Exactly. Corbin, congrats, man. We haven't seen you since, but congrats. Welcome to the D-backs, and good to see you for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
By the way, he went for the Kratz cut too. By the way,
it's gone.
Yeah,
what?
It's not quite as low as Kratz, but it's close.
It's
Can we see?
It's long on the top.
You're
no more long hair. I can't do it anymore.
You're perfect. You're perfect. You can't have time in the bathroom taking care of your hair, twin girls, and the little man jumping on the trampoline all at the same time. You got to cut one of them out, so the hair's gone. Yep. I appreciate that.
Yep. I still have some up there though. It's not bald yet.
Ooh. He loves your hat though, Kratz. All right, we'll be right back. Leo, BetMGM futures moving the Yankees from plus 800 to plus 900 to represent the American League, right, in the World Series. And Boston going from plus 2,000 to plus 1,800. Makes sense since the Cole injury. The one that I'm keying in on. Who's winning the – oh, well, this is the pennant. Sorry, that was the World Series. This is the pennant. Yankees plus 300 to plus 350. Boston plus 1,000 plus 800. You could see a play.
Not hearing you right now. There you go. You were cutting out.
Me?
Now I hear you.
Oh. What do we think about the Cole injury and how it could affect bettors and how they play out the division? I want to focus on that even more so than obviously.
Wait till the end of spring training. Wait till the end of spring training to make your bets because you just never know what's going to happen. There's a lot of people that put a lot of money. Sorry, my hat's sideways because the tent just got blown like 50 feet, so now I got the sun back in my face. Mark wasn't paying attention, so I apologize. But the line move, and this is a big deal because, yes, the Red Sox, I want to see the division odds, but the Red Sox love this move. The Yankees, I feel awful for Gerrit Cole and the Yankee fans, but for the Red Sox and for the Orioles and for the rest of the American League, they had to say, well, I mean, it sucks for them. We all go through injuries, but maybe with the door open just a little bit.
It's a big move. That's a small move in the odds there. I think it could actually go even more closer to the end of spring training. So
yeah,
I would just wait.
All right, I've got your division odds here in the app fresh. Plus 165 for the Yanks, plus 260 for the Red Sox, plus 275 for the Orioles, Rays plus 750, Blue Jays plus 1,100.
I'm buying those right now.
You love the Orioles. This guy loves the Orioles.
I just got to pick a team.
I think the Red Sox, man, I'm telling you. I think the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Red Sox, there's value there because I just think they're going to be better than we think.
Yeah, for the Orioles, I think they still might acquire a starter in the next couple weeks, and then you won't see that price that you saw there. First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. If you're a new customer on the BetMGM app, use the bonus code FOUL. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hey, we've got Trey Mancini at Diamondbacks camp. Trey, great to see you as always. And you've had a super interesting journey throughout your career. What's it like for you to be in this camp in, can I call it like an audition role?
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. It's been great. It's been a great fit. Spent most of the last year thinking I was honestly going to retire from baseball. And then as the year went on, something just wasn't sitting right with me and decided to pick up the bat, hit, and was just hoping for an opportunity to come to spring training with somebody, and luckily it happened. So I'm so happy to be here, and I've really been enjoying myself.
What changed? Hold on, let me fix your mic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people, it's cool. What changed? I mean, you were home for a year and you're sitting around, and you told me you were on the pickleball court, and now all of a sudden you're in big league camp. So what was there a fire that was still lit in there? And you just happened to pick up a bat randomly? No one was like, hey, just take a couple swings for us.
It took a while. Like, I thought I was at peace with it for months. You know, I felt great. Didn't really think about baseball that much. And about the end of July, I got a text from Brady Anderson, actually. He worked with me a lot when I was in Baltimore. Back in 2015, he changed my swing, and that really helped my career take off. And he basically said that he thought that I still had something left in the tank, and he thought that I should give it one more chance. And the time for peace is later on, whenever you've kind of extinguished every outlet that you can. So I thought about that, and it really hit home. And I ended up going out to California and hitting with him in October, and felt like old times again, and decided to, ramp it up and get it going again.
When you were off, like at some point during that time when you were off for last year, did you sit there and go, man, hitting is so easy?
I never forgot how hard it is to hit, but there are times when you watch on TV when you're like, oh, why didn't he swing at that pitch and all this? And I'm like, you know what? I sound like all these people that just berate me after bad games. And you do forget how hard it is. And going back into games now, it's funny how much different it looks on TV and then how much different it is in real life. It is the hardest thing to do in sports. So that's something you don't really ever forget, even when you sometimes think it's a little easier than it is.
Yeah, well, we got to make sure everybody knows at this point you're 8 for 18 in spring training. Am I not incorrect? So maybe it was easier and you just needed a break.
Yeah, maybe. I got a nice fresh perspective, kind of a nothing to lose perspective this year, and I think that's where I need to be successful. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun out there, and it's been refreshing.
Sorry. Your new ace is just walking by.
Stud.
Your new ace is walking by. Corbin Burnes. Sorry. So I was.
Gordon Montgomery?
He has a fresh. No. He's their old ace. Corbin was walking by, and I'm like, you're coming on. So sorry. The new perspective. I love what you're saying about the new perspective, because you sit out for a year, and you say, like you said, there was all of a sudden you get excited again. So when you come into camp, you're an older guy now. You're 32. You're an older guy, and you see some young kids. Are you like, do they come to you and say, hey, Trey, what was it like not playing for a year? What was it like back doing this? And now what do you see? And do you help these guys out? Because the Diamondbacks are still relatively young.
Yeah, definitely. It's a mix of like some veteran guys, but it's actually a pretty young team overall, I would say. So, yeah, the young guys have been great, and they've asked a lot of questions. They definitely surround themselves with the older guys on the team, and there's a lot of guys that have been here for a long time too. So I feel like this team's got such a good culture established, and whenever you come in here, it's pretty infectious. So guys like Jordan Lawler is one of the young guys on this team. He's a stud. Soaks up everything that you tell him, and he's always learning and always wanting to know about other people. So I think that's a really good quality for your younger guy to have, and I've seen that from a lot of the guys here, especially Jordan.
32 ain't that old. You're good to go. I think I got called up to the big leagues when I was 30, so you're totally fine.
Yeah,
but
wow, that's impressive.
Is there intrigue? Dave McKay over there at first base, has he said we're going to get you more than your career 2 bags?
I need it. I was actually somebody brought that up the other day. I don't think I've had a stolen base since maybe 2019. I had
you can
one
do it
rogue
this year.
one.
You can do it this year, especially with Dave McKay over there.
Especially with him over there. Yeah, he's and sometimes like in drills during spring, he's been out there and he's diving back into first base. He's like starting and stopping really quickly. He's in better shape than I'd say most MLB players. It's impressive.
What does he tell you? Because I didn't steal a lot of bases. I wish I never really had a coach that was, because they just were like, don't go anywhere because you might get hurt. So stay here. But what does he say when you get over? What's he whisper in your ear? What's the guru say? How to get back?
This is the first time I've ever been instructed on base running in my career. I'd say it's just a part of my game that, unfortunately, for better or worse, has been kind of obsolete. And every year that I've been playing baseball, I feel like base running's gotten more important. It's become a bigger part of the game, and even guys that aren't very fast can impact the game on the bases. And he references Paul Goldschmidt a lot, just the way that he kind of cuts corners around the bags. He doesn't have to take these big wide turns. Like, you can run the bases much more efficiently, especially if you're not that fast. So there's a lot of things that can be done to improve, getting that extra base that ends up being huge in the long run.
What intrigues you about this team? Obviously it's a shot, but what do you have to do to make this team? What do they tell you have to do? But what also intrigues you? Like, I'm sure they weren't the only team that called in the offseason.
They were basically the only team. There is maybe one or two other. Like, there was a little bit of interest, but it was a place that believed in me and gave me the opportunity. So, like I said, I'm so thrilled and happy to be here. It's a stacked roster in there for sure. It's a really great team, and especially not playing last year. I know it's an uphill battle to make the team out of camp, but when you're here, you have the perspective that you're here to make the team. So, and you can't ever lose that. But if it does come to me starting in AAA, I'm willing to do that, earn my way back up. Whatever they need me to do, I'm ready to like I said, earn my way back up to the big leagues.
That was going to be my question. Would you go to AAA?
Yeah, I would.
Would you?
Definitely.
Would you go, say, for the whole year? Or would you just have to play that out? Like, say they came to you and said, "Hey, we want you to go to AAA. You're our first guy up." They tell you, usually a veteran guy, you're first guy up. Something happens, something doesn't go right, and then it gets to like June. Would you still? Because I don't know. Because I've never been in your position, so I don't know.
And I've never been in this position before, so I'd like to say yes. And especially not playing last year, and like I said, you get a different perspective of the game, and yeah, you don't want to leave any stone unturned. So I think I would. You want to play until they kind of rip the bat out of your hands.
Yeah.
And take the glove off.
See, though, you took a year off, right?
I
so
did.
You were like, "Oh, I'm at peace," and then all of a sudden,
but now you realize that once you're done, and I think I needed that to realize, especially now with a level or two less of minor league baseball, it's really tough to get a job in affiliated baseball. There's some really, really good players playing independent ball, playing in the Mexican League, playing internationally. It's tough to get a job here in the States now, and I think I really realized that last year, and don't take that for granted.
What is the family situation in the sense of, is everybody in your family, from most important people to the people that support you, are they in support of this? Are they okay with, let's see, where are they? Reno now? Is it Reno or Albuquerque is AAA?
It's Reno.
Reno, there's a
here.
sign right there. It's 603 miles, by the way, to Reno.
Yeah, well, that's how far you'll hit the homers when you're in Reno. So you might end up with 10 in April,
I heard
and then you'd be like,
hit.
easy. But is everybody in complete support of this?
Oh, definitely. My family's always been so supportive in whatever I choose to do, but I do think there's a part of them that missed me playing last year. So everybody's excited I'm back. And
kids?
No kids yet.
No kids yet? Okay.
Yeah, hopefully shortly.
No.
Yeah, no kids yet. So
as long as your wife's on board, then you're good.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
She's in full support, and we're so excited to be back.
Trey, you've had a lot of great memories. Right now, what's the best memory in your career?
Winning the World Series with the Astros, definitely. I mean, that's why we all play the game since we were kids, and it's what we all aspire to do whenever we start playing baseball, and that's the dream. So, unequivocally, winning the World Series with the Astros,
as it should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think anything else, just falls a little short of that, especially on a personal level. So, that's the pinnacle of the sport is winning the World Series.
So, Trey, is your greatest individual moment the defensive play you made in, Game 5 of the World Series? Obviously, you've had a lot of great moments as a bat, but is that your greatest moment? Because obviously that contributes to that World Series title.
Definitely. Especially I was struggling at the plate to, the last month of the regular season and into the playoffs. I was slumping. So I wasn't quite expecting my glove to be, the side of the ball that had an impact on the World Series, but making the play, basically falling on the ball that Schwarber hit. I still don't even know if I saw it, but I'm really glad I made that play and was able to help Houston win the World Series that year.
Fundamentals. Half fun, half mental. And that was just a fundamental play. You got it.
Hug the line and fall on top of it.
Yeah, 100%. Tackle it. Does this team have the same feel? I know you only went to Houston partway through the season and you weren't in spring training, and spring training can be misleading. But does this team have that feel of a team that can compete for a World Series title?
It does. There's a quiet confidence here that reminds me a lot of what I saw in Houston. And this team was in the World Series 2 years ago. And they've got, like I said, such a good mix of really great young players, young stars, and a lot of guys that have been around for a while, have a lot of playoff experience. And, for the most part, most of the guys in there have experience playing in a World Series. And I think that helps a lot. And it's a really, really good team and definitely has a feel of a strong contender.
All right, before you let you go, I love to talk about things that aren't baseball related. So I know you went to Notre Dame. Did you really think they were going to make the championship game after they lost to Northern Illinois this year?
No, the Northern Illinois day was one of the worst days that I've ever experienced. I laid on my kitchen floor for like 2 hours staring at the ceiling. I was so excited for this football season, you know. And typically I'm like more of a realistic Notre Dame fan than a lot of other people.
Notre Dame fans?
Notre Dame. Yes.
Fake Notre Dame fans that have never been to a game and all that stuff?
Yes. Like I was a junior when we lost to Alabama in the national championship. I knew we were probably going to get steamrolled in the game, and we did. This year felt different. So after that game, I was dejected. But, man, that team and Freeman were incredible this year, the way they bounced back and made it to the national championship. I went to the game.
Oh, I was going to say, did you go?
It was awesome. Yeah, so much fun except for the game.
Score?
But,
except for the score?
Except for the score, but Ohio State was a better team, but still an unbelievable season.
I mean, come on. They had the easiest run like of all time to get there. They played Indiana. Didn't they play Indiana first?
Yeah, I went to that game too.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It was freezing, though, wasn't it?
It was so cold. Yeah, we did some tailgating that day to help out slightly with that. But yeah, went to the IU game, and then the Penn State game I wasn't able to go to because my sister got married that weekend.
Well,
but
how dare she?
We had a watch party at her welcome party, so it was fun. A lot of my friends were there too, so it was a fun run throughout the playoffs and fun season.
Can they do it again?
I think so.
I mean, I'm sure they have another tough schedule where they play the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, the Coast Guard.
Supposed to be pretty good this year.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, this year was a little lighter than expected, but yeah, it should be a really good team this
By the way,
year.
it's time for
Depends
them
on the quarterback play.
It's time for them to join a conference. Let's be honest.
Think? I don't know. We'll see.
Come on.
I wouldn't hate it, but
yeah.
You got to respect the tradition too, I guess.
I do.
Yeah.
I agree. It was a great run for them. It was a surprising run, but it was a great run. Yeah, good. I'm glad you got to go too. Because I've been to a few of them, and they're fun.
They're fun.
Yeah. They're better when your team wins. But
I haven't experienced that yet. But
okay,
maybe
one day.
Hopefully one day.
Hey, you might feel old in baseball, but you're very young. You got plenty of time. You'll get there. But we're rooting for you, Trey. Great to see you. Thanks for spending some time with us, and we'll keep watching you here in spring training, and hope to see you in the bigs again soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
May-splaining is a segment weekly on Trevor May's show. It's called MAYDAY. There's a lot of May puns in that show. It's really good. It's every Monday. It's part of the FT network. Kratz is smiling about it. So let's make sure we get this clip in and run it for you so you can get excited about the show and join it live next week.
He's frustrated, and it sounds to me that he's really frustrated because when you see another person on the outside getting offered this extravagant deal, and then the team not getting them, and then every year you're hearing about all this money being offered to these huge free agents, and you're already there, and you're already the same age, and you're already on the team, and you're already the center of the team, and then you're not able to get anywhere near your number. I could see how that would be really frustrating. There's like no homegrown talent on this team either at this point. It's like him, Bo Bichette, Alejandro Kirk. That's it. Everyone else was traded for or came into free agency or was not drafted by them or signed in international free agency. So he wants to be there. He wants to be the guy. And he's just judging by his tone. He's not happy with hearing about all of these offers being given to other guys and then just no one playing ball with him. Now, he's a first baseman. They don't age well. You know, that's just the name of the game. First basemen are not going to get that much money. For a first baseman after $600 million, what Freddie Freeman get, like 180? Like, it's just not, that's nowhere close. So, in reality, he's probably a mid 400 in my opinion. But still, he'd probably take $450 million. Why wouldn't you? That's $500 million. And it just sounds like he just says stuff and they're like, meh.
Go check it out, and you can check it out right after our show. It's called MAYDAY. You can find it on the Foul Territory YouTube channel. Look it up wherever you get your pods, the whole deal. But he does hour 1 on our channel, hour 2 on his own Trevor May YouTube channel. So he's awesome. FT fam, our guest, one of the best for last, Zac Gallen, is going to join us in 1 minute.
That's my playlist. I made that last year.
Manny, did you put the Morgan?
The Yanks.
Here we go. Zac Gallen joining us right now on Foul Territory. Zach, good to see you. You hear us, right? You good?
Yeah, I got you guys.
By the way,
Hey,
I don't mean this rudely at all, but look, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm with Rosenthal right now.
This guy's 6 inches off his chair over here. Sitting on a phone book.
I have a long
torso.
Really long torso.
I mean, a long day.
There you go.
Me
Thank
going
you.
to
That's
camp.
much better.
I mean, my posture, whatever. All right.
Just be like, let me live my life. Anyway, with you,
Dude,
Zach, I'm curious.
Hold on, before you dig in. Hold on, before we even ask you. So he walked by earlier, okay? And he had a hood on, and he had like John Lennon glasses, and he had his hat pulled down like this, right? So he looked like this walking by. And it was like 7 in the morning, and he walks by, and I'm just like, hey. And so then he accused me of not knowing who he was, and I for 100% knew who he was because Mark, our producer, is here, goes, that was Gallen. And I go, yeah, I know. And he goes, why didn't you talk to him? I go, he was 3/4 asleep. What am I going to say? Like, hey, dude, wake up, go get some coffee, and come back. So, yeah, of course I knew who you were.
No, I'm calling BS on that one. I walked by.
Wow.
My hat was not. I never wear my hat down low. I did have a hood on and sunglasses, so I'll give you that. But I was like, AJ didn't realize it was
100%.
me. And then I get inside, and they're like, hey, they want you to go on the show. I'm like, maybe I won't go. I
don't know.
Well, it's good to see you, dude, and we recognize you now. And also, Kratz and I know who you are. So, anyway, are you one of those guys that's like, yeah, whatever, spring training, let's speed this up? I mean, you pitched a lot, right? Like over the years. I was actually just looking up. I'm like, how much did you pitch, like, say, in 2023 when you guys made it to the World Series? Almost 250 innings. Or you were like, hey, this team's really good. Let's just get my work in quick and start the real play.
Yeah, spring training is like, for me, it's like there's like 3 stages. It's like the beginning is like exciting, like all the boys are coming back, the fellas are in the clubhouse, we're hanging out, we're having a good time, and then the games start, and you're like, all right, cool, and you make your first start, and from a pitcher standpoint, I'm like, all right, this is fun, and then by like start 2 and 3, you're like, all right, I'm bored. And then the last like probably week to 10 days, you could smell opening day, and you're like kind of getting invigorated again. So that's kind of the ebb and flow for me over my last few spring trainings of like, I'm at that spot now where we're getting close to opening day, but it's still 2.5 weeks away. I'm like, all right, let's get this thing rolling.
Are you a Zac Greinke type in spring training? Do you tinker? Are you a tinkerer? Will you try like something crazy just to make sure it's on tape? Like, you used to throw the big eephus pitch in spring training.
No, I would always try and add something, but I've noticed over time I need to be smart about what I'm adding. I think last year I tried to add a breaking ball that went a little more left and kind of screwed up my delivery a little bit. So try to be smart about what I'm adding, but I know at some point in time I'm not going to be 29 anymore. I'm going to have to
How many
have.
pitches can you have?
I mean, in a perfect world, I probably have 5 or 6. If I could throw a 2-seam and then get a slider that goes left, that's 6 pitches. I mean, I'm not going to be 29 throwing 95, and I'm going to get old at some point, so I got to adapt or die. That's kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
No, pitchers don't ever need to adapt. They play way longer than position players, especially athletic pitchers from the north like you. You don't even have that many miles on you yet. So free agency is going to be your oyster. The world is going to be your oyster. Are you looking forward to it?
Looking forward to it is an interesting way to put it. I'm embracing it. I think I've been getting that question a lot about the mental side of free agency. I've been treating it a lot like the draft coming out of college. I think if you ignore what's at stake, you're doing yourself a disservice. But I think if you're also like really kind of geared up for it, you're also doing yourself a disservice. So like I'm just embracing the fact that I worked really hard in my career, worked really hard in this spot of my life from my family to get to this point in my life and our journey. So for me, I'm just embracing it and just going to try out and go be healthy and pitch well.
Have you talked to Corbin about it?
Corbin Burnes? No, not really. We haven't talked about it at all.
Does he taught you the cutter?
Soon I'm gonna get. But it goes back to my conversation of tinkering too much. I might get out of whack. But yes, that is a pitch I would be very intrigued and very interested in learning.
Teach you how to,
yeah,
right. Hold the glove like on his side over here and wiggle it. We're not showing it. So
I'm gonna.
He's like this.
I'll bother him in once the season starts. I'm letting him do his thing right now. Get settled. Once the season starts, then I'll start picking his brain a little bit more and seeing what he's got.
How excited were you that when the Diamondbacks signed him? Because you were kind of the ace, and now you bring in another ace, and now you have two aces.
Yeah, I was ecstatic. Really, I think I kind of knew a couple hours early benefits of having the same agent, that it was something that could legitimately happen. And I knew just how close we were last year and just injuries, things like that. And I've known Corbin now for a couple of years, the type of competitor he is, the workhorse he is. So I was ecstatic. And just kind of looking back to teams that tend to do really well, comes to the playoffs and, winning World Series, they have a lot of really good pitching. So for me, I was pumped about it. Just to have another guy, to be able to shoulder the load with the rest of the guys we have in that clubhouse is awesome.
Real quick, and then we'll let the TV audience go to their commercial and all that. But did you have any say in the recruiting, or you just found out about it after? Okay,
I just found out about it. I kind of was under the impression he was going to go somewhere else, so I didn't even bother. Like I knew he wanted to come here. He'd expressed that interest. A lot of guys have. I mean, I think just the culture we have here and the simplicity and the logistics of playing here and living here. But no, I had no. I probably would have screwed it up. So maybe it was a good thing that I did. That I didn't have any hand in the.
We got to go to. We're getting on there. Go, Scott.
Perfect timing here. So, FT fam, some of you watching on the 17 different TV networks we're on. We will see the rest of you on Wednesday. Otherwise, stay with us.
Went off TV. Now we're only on YouTube.
What channel's on?
Back on YouTube and everywhere else that people watch us. So, to continue this conversation, Zac, obviously you guys have had success. I mean, even last year, you're an 89-win team. Year before, you make it to the World Series. So you're confident in the ball club that you have. Do you feel like the addition of Corbin to play off what they're saying makes you guys, a very legit World Series contender, and that you can keep up with, frankly, a National League that looks more talented than the American League? I mean, Dodgers, Braves, Phillies, Mets, etc. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think, like you said, we were an 89-win team last year with a lot of guys missing a significant guys missing a significant part of the season. I mean, you lose Merrill for 3-4 months. You lose Erod for 3-4 months. I went down for a month. Like Marte missed a month. You're talking about, guys who grinded out 89 wins. So from a talent standpoint, I think, we absolutely got better with the addition of Corbin Burnes. Obviously, losing Walker and Jock is tough, but you fill that right back in with Naylor. And I think big things out of Pavin this year. So, and our bullpen, you had Puck at the deadline, some guys like Graveman and Shelby Miller, and then in addition to the guys we have here already. Like I'm excited for this year. This is probably on paper, I would say, the most talented team I might have ever played on in my career. Definitely in, I would say, professional baseball. So. I'm really excited for this year and to see what's to come.
I mean, you want to finish the season with parade. Does it mean anything else different when you're going for a parade at the end of the season and you watch the Eagles parade? Like, do you look at it differently going into your year here with the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what everyone sets out to do, is to finish the year with a parade. So we were super close 2 years ago. And then obviously, like you said, I just saw my Eagles, celebrate down Broad Street. So for me to be able to be a part of a parade of my own, especially in a city here who's been longing for a championship for 20 plus years, I think it would be super fun. I think it would really be a testament to the culture and just the vibe that we just have kind of, accumulated here. It's been a lot of fun, and so we'll see what happens.
By the way, did you mention any position players and guys that missed time? Oh, Cattell.
Yeah.
You didn't mention your catcher. You always got to mention your catcher. Moreno missed some time. You don't forget.
Walker missed some time.
Yeah.
Well, I could have been standing on the soapbox, been like, I mean, everybody was legitimately hurt. So that would have been most of the segment if I would have been like, yeah, Gabby was hurt, Walk was hurt. We had some guys miss some time. I mean, so it's not easy, but we had guys grind it out, and I think that's just what that just shows you what that clubhouse is made of in there.
Bigger Eagles fan, you or Trout?
I think Trout probably.
Really? Do you have season tickets?
No.
Why not?
I would be a ginormous Eagles fan if I had tickets like Trout. I'd be sitting right there on the. No, I'm a big Eagles fan.
It's not like you can't afford it.
Yeah, I mean this is true.
Are you in Trout National?
That's funny you say that. I actually just was talking to Trout the other day about potentially being in there. So I don't know. We'll see. I spend most of my off season out here. My fiance is from here. We live out here full time. So being back home for Eagles games, I try to get to like at least one on the East Coast. Just depends on when we're home. So, but yeah, I'll give Trouty he's probably a bigger fan than me. I'm still an Eagles fan. I still wore an AJ Brown jersey, and 2 days after the Super Bowl.
That works. You can encompass everything. You love golfing. You and Trout are from Jersey. He's opening a new course. You about to get married, so maybe you can talk to Mike about, hey, I'll buy a membership that I don't need for a few years, but let me have my wedding at the new wedding venue that he's going to have on his course. So talk to the boys. Talk them South Jersey love.
So Trout and I play for the same travel team. He's a few years older than me.
What was that team called? Arsenal?
Tri-State Arsenal.
God,
yep.
Nailed that.
We were Arsenal. Yeah, how'd you know that?
My kid went through the travel ball circuit.
Yeah, we were Arsenal guys. Trout was actually at my college, like the NLI, whatever, the thing that they do at high school. They did like a whole big one for all my teammates. Trout was there. It was the year after he won the Rookie of the Year, I think it was. So it was cool. We came back, hung out. But yeah, we're getting married in Cabo, so I don't think I don't think it's going to be in New Jersey.
Let me see. Cabo, Jersey.
In the winter time.
Guys.
In the winter time.
Cabo, Jersey. I think I'm going to pick Cabo. I don't know. Sorry,
All right.
Kratzy. Sorry, Scott.
All right.
Did you know Trout was going to be good?
Was
he the Todd Frazier of your era in the Jersey area?
I remember. So Arsenal didn't have Little League teams. I was on the first. Me and all my friends were on the first Little League team. They did 13 and older. So we had the same coach that coached Trout like on the way up, and we remember him talking about Mike, and he's like, "Yeah, this kid," and we're like. And then you get older, and it's like, okay, now he's a junior in high school, senior in high school, and it's like 20 scouts of these games, 30 scouts of these games. So we kind of knew. And then the first thing when it kind of clicked, when I was like, oh, this guy must be legit, was he was like, I'm going to Secaucus for the draft, like for his thing. And I'm like, oh, all right, like this guy's going to be a first rounder. So yeah, we kind of knew, like he was in the facility every day. And so yeah, and then now you see, it's kind of crazy to see.
You better get that invite. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, we talked about it. I mean, we'll have to see.
Who did I see the other day that got the whole thing that opened up?
Weaver
got like this whole. It was like,
whole thing.
Like this whole.
Did he post it on social media?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I'll have to take a look at this.
Yeah, it's like this whole thing, like welcome to Trout National membership, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
blah,
I mean,
blah.
I'm not. I mean, we'll see. I don't know how
you
much
take
I'm
him out on
supposed to
the
be
course and
talking.
say-
I don't know if I'm talking about it right now. He might be like, "Hey, you're out." Like we don't want
I'm
that.
just
No, it's not like
He
Fight Club.
loves our show.
Yeah.
It might be exclusive. I don't know. I'm not. I mean, can't.
How about
You're a
this?
guy.
How about we go play golf? If I beat you, I'm in. If you beat me, I'm out.
All right, we'll see.
I think you could win that fight, right? How about if you face
I
him
think
this year
he's
and you go, if I punch you out, then I'm in.
I think he's a better than me, honestly.
Really?
I think so.
Aren't you like a scratch?
No.
Oh, I thought you were like a scratch.
No, I'm like an 8. I think he's like a 3.
Oh, wow.
Merrill's a good golfer. He before he had his kids, he was probably a scratch.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he the best golfer here?
At this point in time, yeah. When Barry Enright was here, it was a different story.
Oh, he's good.
Unbelievable.
Ooh.
Unbelievable. Him and Carson Kelly, really good. Carson's another good golfer. He's probably +1, +2.
Wow.
So yeah, I they give me, I get shots, but sometimes I don't do with them what I should. So I wind up losing money anyway. So, yeah.
Hey,
I
Zach,
don't know.
question for you. Somehow I'll get us back to a little bit of baseball talk to finish.
Yeah,
as much
what-
as I can
what
talk
are we
golf
He
doing
all
doesn't
day.
here?
want to talk about baseball. Let's talk about golf. And
AJ has a golf show. Yeah, it's called Green Territory or whatever. Anyway, Corbin Carroll last year struggled for 4 months. Shows like us, we're trying to figure it out, and everyone's like, is he hurt? Whatever. It didn't seem like that was the case. And then he looked like himself for the last couple months. Curious for someone like you, obviously being in the league for a minute, I know you're not a position player, what that was like for you to watch someone who had such early success in the big leagues, get the contract extension, get to the World Series, and you expect him to be an MVP candidate the next year, actually go through the classic sophomore slump. Like, what did it look like from your perspective? And is he a guy that, was open to combos, or kind of just kept his head down and was like, I'm going to figure this out on my own?
Yeah, he was definitely for sure open to combos. I remember talking to him a little bit just from a pitcher's standpoint of I think just from the outside looking in of just kind of was observing him from afar. It seemed to me that Corbin had a really good rookie year and learned the hard lesson that we're all human and that trying to improve. I've been guilty of it too. I have a really good year. All right, cool. I think I have everything mastered. I'm going to try and add another pitch. And I think from Corbin's standpoint, it was okay, I had a really good year. I won the Rookie of the Year. I finished top 5 in the MVP. I'm going to now try and cover a pitch that had been giving me trouble. So I think walking that fine line of I know what I do really well, I know what I don't do well, and trying not to sway one way or the other, I think is kind of what, at least just from conversations with Corbin, might have went on. But he was definitely open to conversation. I mean, I remember, Jock was talking to him a lot. I was talking to him just from in terms of a pitcher standpoint, just, how hard it is to locate at the spots that he has trouble, that he was struggling trying to hit. It's hey, just make the pitcher prove to you he's going to hit that spot 3 times in a row. It's a hard thing to do. So just trying to give him confidence from that. But I mean, he looks like he's, he figured it out in the second half, and he's been on absolute fire in spring training. So Corbin's a guy who's very cerebral, and I think he is going to be just fine.
What's your best pitch?
Probably my curveball.
Your curveball. If
Yeah.
you had to get somebody out, and you had one pitch, it would be your curveball.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't know if I mean, maybe Barry Zito I heard say that before, but curveball is usually not, especially in today's game, you don't hear people say, man, I'm going to rip a curveball.
For me, I think I'm really good when I'm pitching off my fastball. I think a lot of teams know that. So when I'm obviously commanding the fastball, it's going to, just like anyone else. But if I had a bases loaded jam with 2 outs and you're going to have to try and hit my curveball at some point. It'd be hard for me to eliminate that pitch.
All right, Zach, I've got one more for you. We've asked a few others at camp today about this topic, and I want to preface it that we ask it with respect. I want to know your thoughts on the Dodgers offseason. You're like, well, we're the Diamondbacks. Why do I care? Well, because you guys took them down a couple years ago. Your team is looked at as a club that could slay the dragon, whether it's in the division or later on in the playoffs. So do you look at that team and feel like even when you face them in the regular season, there's more juice to it, there's more motivation based on now winning a World Series, which they did, and how much ammo they've added to their roster?
I think there's definitely more juice. I don't know. I think, when you play teams in your division who you have a rivalry against, it's teams you're playing, used to be 19, now it's 13 times a year. I think there's always going to be an added level of juice just because it's an in-division rival. And obviously it's no secret they went out and spent a lot of money, which from a player standpoint, I'm glad they did that. It's good for the players, good for the game that they're trying to go out there and put the best product on the field they possibly can. And I mean, I think my sentiment when playing them hasn't changed over the last 4 or 5 years, is that if you want to accomplish what you want to accomplish, which ultimately ends in a parade at the end of the year, you're going to have to go through the best teams. And right now on paper, they're probably the best team in baseball. But as we know, baseball is a game that can't be played on paper. So we're still going to show up and we're going to play the game and see what happens. I think for us, we proved to ourselves in 23 that, you know, we're not intimidated. It's a game of baseball. We can play our brand and still win and see what happens. So I think for us, that was kind of a calming effect for this group in that clubhouse going forward.
When you do your scouting reports before you go through your scouting, because you said Corbin Carroll was cerebral. You're very cerebral when you pitch. When you go through your scouting reports and you see Shohei, Mookie, Freddie, is there one guy you look at and say,
in that lineup or in general? In life, in my career?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if there's someone that's better than those three, please tell.
No, I was wondering what you meant. Like, if there was a guy that, like...
All right, so then who owned you in your career?
In my career?
Yeah.
Raimel Tapia.
Really?
10 for 19, I think.
Wow, he could hit the curveball.
He's a quick runner, so a lot of, like, hits where, you know, bounce whatever, and then I'm like, all right, cool, like, let's challenge him. Homer. I'm like, dude, yeah, I mean, in that lineup, it's tough. Obviously, it really presents you with a challenge of, like, I can't pitch around Shohei. If, let's say Shohei leads off, it's Shohei, Mookie, Freddie. It's like, I can't pitch around Shohei and put him on first base because he could steal 50 bags, so that's already a downside. And then Mookie's on deck. And then so you really have to pick your spots of, like, what you're trying to do.
Are you exhausted after you face? I know you're exhausted after every time you pitch, but I remember as a catcher, there were certain games where you're facing, like, the Yankees when they had Jeter, Tex, Dame.
Uh-oh. Well, at least I can tell everyone this while we see if they're okay. Lost the site. Oh, okay. We lost them, but awesome interview, awesome conversation with Zac, and hopefully he can still hear me. Not that we don't want to root against anyone, but Raimel Tapia, not in the game anymore. Last season was 2023. Didn't play last year. I was trying to look up while he was chatting about him if he's in spring training. I couldn't find anything. I know he played winter ball. So anyway, it's a good way to get rid of your kryptonite is he's not in the league anymore. Thanks to the crew behind the scenes. They had a 5:30 a.m. call time. We always love that, especially after doing 6 shows yesterday on the FT network. So I hope you're liking everything. Drop us a comment here on YouTube if you're still watching. We appreciate you. And we'll see you
it's kind of
Wednesday
it's like
at
that
Rangers
tough
Camp.
of, like,
Thanks, FT
once
fam.
I start making more money, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna
There we go.
There's the guy with nothing to say. Kratz is going to be so mad at you.
Big tuna.